And welcome to the WAN show. It's still Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little on the late side.
Yeah, not for long, but...
I blame Luke. We've got a lot of great topics for you today. First and foremost being, what is up with the title and headline? It's because I lose. Today's show is going to be pretty AI heavy, so Luke is going to get to talk about AI agents gaining steam. That is pretty vague. And also, Elon Musk pivoting Twitter to an AI everything app, whatever that means. What else are we talking about today?
Microsoft. So I'm going to announce the non-AI topics, and you're going to announce the AI
I think
topics.
that would be fun.
Microsoft could be working on a Windows handheld mode for Steamdeck alikes.
I'm excited.
Things that are similar to that. That is actually pretty interesting. We'll talk about more about that later, though. Also, do we talk about this one? Is this going to be the Elon show?
No. Pick anything else.
The 4070 release. I don't know.
All right.
Which one did you pick?
The show is brought to you today by JumpCloud, Goliath Technologies, and Seasonic. All right, why don't we jump right into our headline topic here today, which is AI agents gaining steam.
Yeah.
Why don't I read it, and then you can spend the next 25 minutes talking about what I read.
Sure, go for
There's
it.
been a surge in development of AI agents.
Interjection.
These are applications that allow large language models to operate semi-autonomously by feeding prompts to themselves until they have achieved a broad, general goal given to them by the user.
Sort of correct.
Currently trending on GitHub is AutoGPT, which uses GPT-4 to generate, prioritize, and execute tasks using plugins for internet browsing and other access. It uses outside memory to keep track of what it's doing and provide context, which lets it evaluate its current situation, generate new tasks, or self-correct and add new tasks to the queue, which it then prioritizes. AutoGPT currently has a notable tendency to become distracted or confused when given complex goals, often getting caught in recursive loops and leaving tasks half-finished. Users have been creating tools that allow AutoGPT to perform more tasks, including one that allows it to access and use Bitcoin wallets. Before I go any further, do you want to talk a little bit about AI agents? You said that my definition was not quite correct, so I invite you to give a better one.
Yeah, it mentioned something about them being able to just give themselves more than one prompt.
Yes.
But a big part of the idea is that they can use other systems. So like they can use an image generator, they can use some other model, whatever, services that aren't even AI based, etc. They can call out to other services. They don't just have to use their own stuff. Also, I like that we're calling them AI agents. AutoGPT has been used as like a what I'm calling like a Kleenex term.
Right.
Like a lot of people have been calling all of them AutoGPT, even though there is one specific one called AutoGPT. Whatever. The AutoGPT name is actually really good, which is why I think that's happening. Other people are calling them like baby AGI. I don't like that.
Sorry,
Not a fan of that.
artificial general intelligence?
Yeah, but they're calling it like a baby version because it can like task out to other things and improve on itself and do stuff like that.
This is like the whole thing where we rebranded machine learning as AI when that's not really
what it is,
right? That's just branding. We rebranded driving assists as autopilot.
Yeah, like
I promise we're not going to talk about him the whole show.
I do really like, AutoGPT is a fantastic name. There's a bunch of these systems. There's actually a load, like a huge amount of them, because it's the trend right now. And in this whole space, if something catches on even slightly, you can absolutely bet there will be a ton of it almost immediately.
Now, you've given some examples of things that people are doing with these agents on past shows, but is there new stuff that's come to light this week, or just a refresher for those of us who... Right now, it sounds very vague and nebulous. Well, it can call to stuff and it can do things. What are some of the things people are doing with this?
So basically with current with what most people currently have access to, if all they do is like go to OpenAI's website, is GPT-4 or 3.5 or below. And with that, you can usually get the steps that you would need to do to accomplish something.
Sure.
If you asked it how to do it.
How do I build a computer? Right? So instead of how do I build a computer and it listing steps, you could say, how do I build a computer? And it could actually just like order for me.
Potentially, if you hooked it up to the right things, because like someone has actually used it to buy their groceries for the week. They're like, I need recipes for a week. These are the types of things that I like. This is the grocery store, whatever. They hooked it up to some grocery delivery service that I don't remember the name of, and it actually purchased the groceries and made it so that like, oh, you bought a can of this, you only need X amount of it for one meal, but I picked a different meal, so you're not eating the same thing all the time, that will use the rest of it in order to be efficient. Like, it did all this stuff that was really, really good. It planned their meals for the week, it ordered everything for them, it gave them recipes for all of the meals, and it efficiently used the ingredients.
Do you remember when microtransactions took off in mobile games? And every other flippin' WAN show, we were talking about some kid going to town on mom or dad's credit card, buying a bunch of jewels or Twitch bits or whatever else it is, racking up thousands of dollars. How long is it going to be before someone sues OpenAI for Chat GPT spending a whole bunch of their money when they were the ones who were irresponsible enough to give it their credit card?
Oh, it's going to be a problem. You mentioned in here connecting it to Bitcoin wallets, right?
Yeah.
Well, people are using that to use GPT-style models to bet on markets for them.
No.
That is 100% already happening.
No.
There is even these websites where you can get like auto trading bots for like coin exchanges. And they already have, like, you can build your own bot using GPT models and give it its own weights and everything using that instead of needing to code it yourself, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's getting pretty nuts. I was reading one thread on a person who spent, I think they said roughly 8 hours, like tuning things in and whatnot, working with, I believe it was AutoGPT specifically, but I don't fully remember. And they made a tool. I don't remember what the tool did, but they got like 1,000 users for their tool and were able to sell their like startup company all within like a week, which is just, that's crazy.
Yeah, people are also talking about, I forget who I was talking to, but they were saying they know of someone who basically gave it a little bit of money and said, go build an online business. It built it. Got like, 1,000 users or something like that in some obscenely short period of time, and then sold it.
Yep. There's also, someone has actually even just asked it, get me money, without giving it any money. And what it did is it like asked them for some of their like personal details and stuff, and it scraped government websites, and it scraped websites that do, what is it called? When there's like a lawsuit or something, you like bought a product and you
recalls.
get
or like
you get
class
money
action.
back. Yeah, so it scraped like class action lawsuit things, and it grabbed everything it could for them, like different grants from government because of whatever details about the person and whatever class action lawsuits they were eligible to get money from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it made them like a few $100. Like, it wasn't even that small of an amount of money.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. There's a really cool experiment. Do you want to keep reading or do you want me to do it?
Sure. You know what? My brain is tired.
Stanford and Google researchers have been performing a series of, this is wild to me. We were actually talking last week about AI integration into games and how it might be able to go. So this is particularly very interesting.
Yeah, he messages me this white paper like earlier this week, like, that's basically what his message contents were.
That's honestly more accurate than I would like to admit. Stanford and Google researchers have been performing a series of experiments with similar AI-powered agents by having LLMs control 25 characters within a virtual town. The characters can communicate, interact with their environment, remember events, reflect on those events, and form plans. Each is preloaded with a starting persona and an existing relationship with the other characters in the game. Over the course of several in-world days, the characters engaged in a series of complex interactions based on those starting conditions. Researchers told this is the really cool part in my opinion, researchers told one generative agent to host a Valentine's Day party without any further human intervention. The character invited 9 other characters, who then passed on the information to 4 other characters beyond that. The characters remembered the invitation, reorganized their daily schedule in response to it, with one asking another officially on a romantic date to the event.
Prove to me now that we are not living in a simulation.
Oh boy. We're doing the Silicon Valley tech bro conversation. You can't prove it's not a simulation. Yeah, I don't know. I think what this immediately made me think of is because you were talking about how you want tailored conversations for your games.
Yeah.
You don't really want an LLM to just go in and write all the text for the game because want it to
I want, it's kind of like playing Breath of the Wild compared to playing a game that has an auto-generated environment. You and I went, these are examples that are pulled from vastly different eras of gaming. So I understand that they are not directly comparable. But we did a run of Diablo 1 a while back, just nighttime gaming. Those generated dungeons end up all kind of being samey. Yep. There's some difference in that you don't know what's around the next corner, sort of, but there's also no flow to them. Whereas exploring in Breath of the Wild, it's art.
Yes.
It's artful.
Yep.
You will stumble upon things because there was an intentful, purposeful, whatever.
There's a narrative direction going on. There's a direction of things that you're supposed to experience when you go through different areas. And AI has an issue with hallucinations, as maybe I mentioned that in the pre-show, or getting distracted, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
How they can get distracted or confused when tasks are really large. Tasking it with doing something that big, holding that narrative the whole way through. Current versions, right? Now, maybe I'm wrong in 2 months. I don't know. But current versions are going to struggle with that very seriously. But Skyrim style, you need to try to make sure that all the people have jobs that they go to every day and they do stuff and they react to the world. Those baseline, NPCs that aren't technically important.
Making environments feel populated.
Yes, yeah.
Is going to be
super good at that.
Totally a different game.
Yeah.
It's just, when it gets to dialogue, that's where I'm really not sure about it, because I don't want them to say something different if there isn't new content for me to engage with.
Yeah.
With that said,
don't want to waste
it
your time.
is a matter of time before there's a game where you are just dumped into essentially an MMO that is entirely populated with AI agents that level up and quest and have jobs and build new towns for you to explore, to the point where when you go back and you re-engage, it is new stuff and things have happened and you do need to catch up on events, and it's happening constantly, all the time, everywhere. I mean, man, when we first started talking about Stadia and cloud gaming, I didn't realize it yet, but this is the kind of gaming experience that should have enabled. Imagine an Escape from Tarkov-like experience where you are warping into, but instead of an instance, a persistent world. And then you every 6 months or whatever it is, you do a wipe, and it's a brand new world.
I feel like hardcore gameplay actually benefits from this more. Imagine a permadeath RPG.
Oh.
But your effects 100% remain. And I know there's roguelikes that go in this direction already. Someone already mentioned it, but SAO, yeah, if you've watched the first half season of SAO, the good part, it's kind of the impacts of your previous character, not only are they detectable, as they are sometimes in like roguelike games, but they like extremely impact the world.
And there's this butterfly effect where someone comes in, murders the son of some AI agent baker who swears vengeance on every player character.
So then
and this
there's
town
like a plague put through the town through the bread sold at the bakery.
And you could have all these different attributes that could even be slightly RNG'd that apply to these NPCs, and depending on how people interact with them, they could turn into like you could not even assign a big baddie to this world.
Yeah.
There could just be many potential big baddies that form.
There could be forces that are aligned against each other, and then through natural events of them, wanting to gain position on each other, big baddies just are created dynamically in the world. Could be super interesting.
Hideo Kojima apparently had the idea of a Raw game. This is according to Floatplane Chat back in 1998, and apparently it's something kind of like this. Someday
you can tell game developers have wanted to do this type of stuff for a long time.
Well, it's one of the holy grails. It's like true physics-based object interaction. Attempts have been made.
Yeah.
And even games where
really
it plays a significant role in gameplay, whether we're talking about Rainbow Six or some of the earlier Battlefield games, destructible environments, it's been done. But nothing would be like a persistent environment where you can, maybe not quite like a Minecraft or Fortnite, but where you can build and also destroy realistically. Nothing like that actually exists.
I feel like it increases how much you care about your decisions in the game, because your decisions in the game are going to impact your next playthrough, but in a more serious way than most games that attempt to do that right now actually will.
The way looting in towns or encampments or whatever else would work, because if those agents are stealing from other player characters and from each other, and if there are enough AI agents that are working the land, producing raw materials and resources, the world, this game world, will naturally become enriched over time.
If you do the classic Legend of Zelda smash all the pots in like your favorite town, you could like bankrupt the town.
Oh wow, I didn't even think of that.
Like, you're gonna have to actually not be a big jerk unless that's what you want for the world.
Or it could be full of really good stuff because it's secret, after 10 p.m., this town is cannibal mode.
You think they're really cool, but but they're actually like stealing and cannibalizing the areas around them or whatever. Yeah. Dwarf Fortress? Yeah, Dwarf Fortress with this would be sick.
Oh no.
They do have a persistent mode.
Yeah,
actually.
There's a lot of games that have done these types of things. I'm struggling to describe what I'm trying to say, but I think this is going to enable a new level of it, if you know what I mean.
See, Dark24 in Floatplane Chat says that would never work in a multiplayer game because people are trolls. But that's the thing. If you have an expansive enough world and enough of these AI agents, well, they're going to learn from the behavior that they see. And you're going to create a very adversarial type of world. I think what you could probably do is you could tailor the gaming experience by having worlds with different rules. So the AI agents all start with the same basic, alignments or the same basic resources or jobs or whatever else it is. But in some worlds, there's no player versus player. Or in some worlds, there's no player versus good aligned NPCs, or whatever these baseline rules are. And I think that would really alter the course of the world's development, and people could pick their play style based on what type of world they select to warp into.
Yeah, and like if you're in a like full PvP enabled world, and the players do just attack everything all the time, it would make sense for the agents to start training themselves more aggressively, investing in armaments
Yep.
whatnot.
And if you created a world that had lesser resources in certain regions, well, those would be lower level regions. So you could still have, kind of similar to what you'd see in an MMO, you could still have a training area where PvP is disabled and, you know, all the AI agents are kind of serfs
you'd have
or
to
whatever.
turn it off because you couldn't actually nerf the NPCs too far, or else all the low level areas would just disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting. So yeah, what about ruining the game economy by selling too many materials in a town? Like if you sell too much bread in a town, you could bankrupt the baker. Some of these types of systems already exist.
Yeah.
But the quake impacts of them across the world.
I feel like it would be self-balancing to a point, right? Because if there's a fixed amount of resource, anytime someone amasses too much, someone's going to be gunning for them.
Oh, so like you have like assassins coming after you or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. If you have to actually cart your goods around.
Oh, that's a really interesting thing. So you just add these realism counterbalances to the ways that people will try to break the game. And it's obviously something that will be broken in a new way every wipe.
It would have to be really, really hard.
It's the kind of game.
It would have to be like realism hard.
It's the kind of game that you could play forever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Anyways, the discussion questions for this topic are: what are the likely applications and limitations of this type of technology? What kind of difference would it make in people's lives if they had this kind of AI assistant? The most interesting, like actually use it myself use case that I think I saw was that the groceries one.
Yeah,
because we've talked like there's been oh, this fridge will like reorder milk for you or whatever. But that seemed to have kind of gone away. I don't know if it didn't work that well or what.
I mean, probably.
But I haven't heard people talk about it in like a long time.
They're fridges, so they were made by appliance manufacturers.
So the software
which should
is probably trash.
Tell you how good the software was.
But like I also know a lot of people that say like one of the most annoying things they have to do every week is like figure out what the heck they're going to eat. So if you can just tell it like, I like these things, I need groceries for a week, and it can just figure it out for you, I think a lot of people would just be happy with that. I don't know. And if it can actually order the groceries for you and they just like show up.
And then what's great is the longer you interact with it, the better it gets.
Yeah.
Because you can say, this was great, this was trash, this was a 7 out of 10.
This was too hard to cook. This was too boring to cook, if that's a metric that you care about. I don't have the right tools to cook this one. Different things like that.
There's a lot of sort of media, whether it's games or movies, that people are pointing out as similar to what we've been talking about. It's pretty similar to the premise of Free
Guy. It's a concept that's been around forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's exciting right now is that there's a path to it.
Yeah.
A realistic path to this gaming experience existing, because up until now,
at levels of depth that we haven't really seen,
we've reached a point where creating a next generation gaming experience has become functionally impossible. I mean, look at the budget. Look at the time they spent on GTA 5. Yeah. You know, look at how long CD Projekt Red was working on Cyberpunk. Look how long they've been working on the next generation Witcher game. Because to handcraft every element of the environments and interactivity and questing and items and whatever it is no longer feasible if you're trying to make a bigger game than what came last, especially now that games as a service is such a pervasive concept within the industry. Because GTA 6 doesn't just have to be bigger than GTA 5. It has to be bigger than GTA 5 plus the 10 flipping years of work that they've done on GTA 5 since they launched it. It's actually impossible.
It's pretty ridiculous.
You can't. You can't catch up to yourself.
There's also
who's been running for 10 years.
There's also reward systems in games that are holding that type of stuff back. This is a slightly different conversation, but like CSGO 2 or whatever is coming. I just don't get access because I'm not a cool streamer person. But they were one of the first things in their announcement was talking about how like, yes, don't worry, you'll be able to keep your skins. That doesn't work that great for every game.
Yeah.
It does work really well for Counter-Strike.
Yeah, but like, where's my Oblivion horse armor now?
Yeah. What if the next game doesn't have horses?
And so they don't want to create, you don't want to create an environment where people feel like, well, I would be a whale and I would spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on this game.
But there's a new one coming, and I can't take my stuff with me.
And you see the kind of backlash that developers are getting from, oh, well, we're going to do a new one, and yeah, forget about your old stuff. Oh, man. Shoot, who was it?
Not Overwatch.
No. New version coming, old version turned off game. Hold on. Crap.
That's why Tarkov's wipe system is great. Yeah, I think it just needs to wipe
Is it
more
Arc?
often.
Is that the one?
Arc? A lot of people are saying Arc. I don't know much about Arc.
Yeah, I think people are upset about Arc because they have a new one coming, and then they uploaded a remaster, or they released a remaster of the original, even though the second one is coming. But then they wanted to charge for the remaster, and they were going to disable access to the first one.
Oh.
So essentially, it was like a forced upgrade to Arc 1.1 when Arc 2 was coming or something like that.
That's gross.
Yeah, so that's not quite related to what we were talking about, actually, now that I think about it a bit more. But it's a way that game developers are going to have to figure out, or it's an example of how game developers are going to have to figure out how to manage this relationship as they rev their software, knowing that their previous games as a service either isn't gone or either is gone and they have to figure out how to smooth that over, or isn't gone and they have to incentivize people to move on to the next thing.
Apparently, it's not just a remaster, but you have to repay for all of the DLCs.
Nice.
That's ridiculous.
Speaking of moving on,
yeah.
Why don't we talk about our next big... Oh, hold on a second.
Do we want to jump to a non-AI?
Riley says, Luke, look at this.
What?
Quote unquote, a really big deal. Dolly is a free open source Chat GPT style AI model.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we've talked about a few different open source Chat GPT style models.
Oh, this is just what you're talking about, where you bring the whole processing load
locally. Yeah. So there's a couple of these that are already out. I think this is literally trained off of the predecessors, like Llama and Alpaca. I think it's just a better, more advanced version of those. I haven't looked super deeply into this, but I do believe it's essentially the same deal, but just much stronger than Llama and Alpaca were.
All right. Let's talk about
really big deal, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I haven't downloaded this and ran it myself yet, but as far as my understanding goes, it's just a way more advanced version of those.
All right. Let's do it.
Do what?
The one.
The one?
Yep. We have to talk about Twitter.
We're just going straight down the list.
Let's do it.
Elon Musk pivots to AI. He was talking about the everything app in the past. So if you're doing an everything app, then you have to chase the flavor of the month all the time. And that means right now, chasing AI. Musk has recently hired talent from Google's subsidiary DeepMind and purchased around 10,000 GPUs in an apparent pivot towards development of a Chat GPT rival or some other AI-based thing. I'd maybe say OpenAI, not ChatGPT. At the same time, Twitter Inc. has been folded into X Corp. That's an interesting one of two corporate entities created in March alongside X.AI. It's unclear precisely what form this new AI project will take. I genuinely don't know anyone that is confident in what the heck they would be doing, but it likely has something to do with Elon Musk's proposed everything app, as we mentioned earlier, which he calls X. According to Musk, he wants to make the X app analogous to WeChat in terms of functionality. Musk has announced that Twitter/X Corp will now be auto-replying to press inquiries with poop emojis, making it difficult to get a straightforward comment on the future direction of the company. Very cool. Elon also announced Twitter subscriptions. Creators can charge followers for exclusive long-form tweets and hours-long video, or shorter, up to hours-long video. Basically upgraded super follows, with Twitter forfeiting their cut of the revenue for the first year, also known as a marketing budget.
Tell me you're desperate without telling me you're desperate.
Yeah.
Can I pitch a theory here?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the other coverage and conversation that I've seen around this has been, what game of 4D chess is he playing? What will be the vision for the Everything app, or whatever else it is. I actually think it is way simpler than that. Here's my cynical. The simplest answer is probably the correct answer theory. I think he wants to unload Twitter. So it makes sense to fold it into something else. So now it's X Corp, okay, which is cool or something. I think that by tying X Corp to this Everything app / it's working on AI kind of, BS Silicon Valley startup kind of nebulous cool factor brand.
There's more than 2,000 AI startups in the last week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yep. So creating value, creating a perceived value by throwing his very loud noise-making skills at a really big buzzword could give him an opportunity to dump Twitter before anyone realizes that they're not actually doing anything other than buying GPUs, which has also been in the headlines because NVIDIA's been talking about how cryptocurrency is stupid, AI is our future, everyone needs to buy GPUs for AI. We're NVIDIA, let's go. There are other processors for AI. I mean, NVIDIA is very dominant in the space right now, but they are not going to be the only one forever.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's just the simplest. And, why would he avoid press inquiries? Well, because press ask uncomfortable questions. Man, that interview.
I haven't watched it.
I've watched some clips from it.
I've been told I should watch it, but I haven't watched it.
It's pretty rough.
I'm pretty busy.
Because the press asks uncomfortable questions and doesn't just ask them, but expects a real, well thought out answer. They're not just going to accept whatever stupid thing you say. So by stonewalling any serious inquiry about what's going on, he gives himself the only speaker's gavel or speaker's staff or whatever thing the speaker holds in this particular weird timeline we're on, allowing himself to build this narrative of what X Corp / Twitter / XAI actually is, under this shroud of secrecy where actually it's just doing weird little proofs of concept with engineers it borrows from Tesla or whatever. And then hopefully he can find someone stupid enough to put a bunch of investment money into this so that he can dump his shares somehow and just get the crap away from this dumpster fire. I think this is just a loss minimizing strategy. And I think maybe it's just because I'm a very cynical person at this point, but it seems pretty transparent to me.
Somewhat go in line with a move that I've seen from a couple little startups recently, which is where they find an engineer that they feel like they can label as a superstar, like LLM AI machine learning engineer. They pay them big mega bucks to come on board. They buy a ton of GPUs. They slap a label on their project and they just try to flip it literally that week.
Yep.
There's some flips that have been happening very, very fast. There's also big money in this type of engineering right now because, Twitter buying 10,000 GPUs. These are expensive, A100, big super chip, very big money, $45,000 on eBay graphics cards right now.
45,000 or 4,500?
45,000.
Is that just scalping that's going on right now?
Yeah.
Is this the thing?
Yeah.
How much is a Hopper?
Let me see if I can find this.
H100 GPU. Let's go. $42,000 for a Tesla H100.
H100, sorry, not A100. Yeah.
That's the last gen you're thinking of.
My bad. But yeah.
I don't think these were worth that much before.
Yeah, probably not. Because the problem is a lot of these companies that, some of them might just be trying to cash in on the .com 2.0 hype kind of thing. Some of them also have very good ideas and they need these GPUs to power those ideas and they can't get them. They got investor money. They're going to get them somehow.
Right. Apparently the MSRP for this one, there is no MSRP for something like this. That's
I don't
typically
think you can
sold as integrated. But apparently the price for these is typically around $35,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
I
still
haven't looked at
marked up
Hopper pricing.
by $7,000.
Yeah. And there aren't even many available.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So it's been pretty intense. Right. What I was saying was there's actually a lot of money right now in being an engineer that can work on this stuff, especially if you can be super efficient with it. Because if you can reduce the cost of GPUs and the cost of continually processing on those GPUs that you need to have, that's very beneficial for companies right now. The OpenAI has been talking about how they don't actually believe a lot of these models need to be trained on bigger data sets.
Oh, interesting.
And that they're
Do
not
they just need
actually
cleaner data sets, or
potentially cleaner, potentially better at parsing them, potentially better systems powering the actual like chat module, stuff like that. They've said that they're not actually working on GPT-5 right now. And they think it is more beneficial and they will step forward faster if they work on like supporting tools for what they already have, which honestly kind of makes sense to me. Because when you're talking about it like the previous topic where we mentioned that it will like get distracted or confused with complex goals, well, okay, it might be more productive to work on keeping it on task by teaching it how to break apart problems and compartmentalize parts of it like you do with like humans do, to be completely honest. If you get this massive complicated task, instead of trying to tackle the entire thing as one big unit, you often break it down into smaller things so that you can more easily tackle it and keep yourself focused. Well, working on things like that might actually be more beneficial and get you to higher perceived performance and power faster than just training a bigger model that's going to have the same problem. So, yeah.
I also want to talk about LinkedIn Verified.
Yeah.
Speaking of everything apps, LinkedIn has gone from somewhere that you go just for the exclusive purpose of updating your resume when you're looking for a job to, as far as I can tell, the primary social network for... I'm just trying to think. Probably most of the working adults that I know. Like, and I don't mean I'm aware of. Like, I'm not talking about people that I've added a couple times on Twitter or whatever else. I'm talking about people that I know who mostly I only work. So I mean, most of the people I know are through work. The amount of just sort of random crap posting on LinkedIn and just life updates people are posting on there, how active it is. Because I don't really engage with it. So almost everyone that I'm connected with on LinkedIn is someone that I added over 10 years ago, back when I was updating my resume because I was looking for a job, right? Like, that's how I used it. But the way that it's used has evolved so much now. And this is cool. They're rolling out a verification program. So it looks like by confirming users' identities and their workplace, it's going to start to work kind of like blind. So in addition to being a social network that you just generally engage with your professional circle through, and then just apparently engage with just about anybody based on the messages I get on LinkedIn, it's going to become more like a private version of your own internal work chat /board/Slack.
I mean, it's owned by Microsoft, so it could tie into Teams even if you wanted.
But without the filter of being worried that your system administrator or your boss is going to archive and read any message that you post.
Until LinkedIn has a data breach.
Until LinkedIn has a breach. I mean, you just said owned by Microsoft. When's the last time Microsoft had a major user data breach?
Fair enough, but nobody's like
impenetrable. Hey, we're not saying it's impossible.
But that is fair. Microsoft has been pretty solid for quite a while now.
So they're going to send a security code through your work email. So that they'll actually verify the domain of your workplace, make sure that you have a functioning email.
That makes sense.
And even have people submit their government ID to a third-party verification service. This is basically what Google tried to do with Google+.
I barely remember how Google Plus functioned, to be completely honest.
Google Plus, the concept was circles.
Circles, yeah.
Okay, for one thing, and we're not going back to circles, but also, creating pods of, well, here's my professional network, here's, whatever else. I think that you could easily use it this way if you really wanted to. But the big one was when they integrated Google Plus with YouTube, was they wanted to cut down on spam.
Apparently Azure just had a breach.
Oh, awesome.
Oof.
Are you kidding me? Okay, great timing. Okay, so your data won't be safe, but hey, at least you can send snarky messages about, Jeff from accounting to Sue from, logistics or whatever else. Anyway, that doesn't change my point. The point is that YouTube was attempting to...
Not that recently.
To moderate the conversations that were occurring on YouTube by having everyone verify their identity, use real identities. Mm-hmm. And Facebook tried to do something very similar when they cracked down on people having just sort of nonsense profile names and had people, they restricted your ability to change your name all the time. They had you actually submit, it would call you on it if you submitted something that didn't sound like a real enough name. It feels like we frogs have been kind of, remember Bob and his tank army? When Google integrated YouTube and Google Plus and wanted everybody to use real identities, the kind of rebellion that took place on the internet. And now I'm even looking at this going, this feels like a feature. This is apparently part of an effort to crack down on fraud and impersonation on the site, which would legitimately make it a much better experience, which isn't really different from what Google was trying to do. Would we have this?
I think it is. I was actually having this conversation with some friends literally last night. Not this exact one, but about your frogs comment.
Sure.
About how a lot of people have just kind of given up on privacy when that used to be like a huge conversation, and genuinely a massive percentage of the population is like, yeah, I'll just have like Amazon Echoes all around my house and Ring doorbells and whatever, and I don't care. I think this is a little bit different because LinkedIn has never been anonymous.
Yeah.
And Google or YouTube comments and all this other kind of stuff, they were anonymous, and then that was taken away. LinkedIn's whole purpose was look, this is who I am. This is my name. This is where I work. This is everything I've ever done, all that kind of stuff. So I don't feel like it's really a change of tone for the platform.
So is it just a change in attitude for the user, that they enjoy and appreciate the more meaningful interactions they have on this platform?
I could definitely see that being a thing.
And are gravitating towards using it, even if they're not really thinking about why it works so much better.
It could be that in this era of the internet, we're now kind of separating. The same person might still want their anonymity on Twitter or YouTube comments or whatever else, but then want to have more direct, know the person you're talking to conversations on another platform somewhere else, like potentially LinkedIn. I could totally see that being a thing. I would have to purge my LinkedIn because I just I'm
going to go to Luke's LinkedIn.
At some point in time, I just added everyone.
Oh. Were you job searching? Did it seem like we were going through a rough patch?
Oh, I think this was when you were doing it too. I think we were both in panic mode. I think I've updated my picture.
Now, hold on a second. You actually... No, you haven't.
That's really old. Is
that from Taiwan?
I actually don't know. Brandon clearly took that, but I don't know where we were.
That's got to be in Taiwan. You've updated it recently.
I updated it slightly because so many people were contacting me through LinkedIn for work.
You're all over that. You're all over that LinkedIn.
No, because they wanted jobs here.
Yeah, because you updated your title. So
whoa, no.
What jobs are you applying for?
That's from the last time.
Oh.
No, that's ancient.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
500 plus connections.
Yeah, I ruined it.
Good gravy.
It's a lot more than that too.
Huh.
That's just what they
display.
display.
Cool certification, bro.
Hey, it's real. I got it.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
Neat. This was while you were working here. Did I pay for that?
You don't remember that? No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Wow, you should have had me pay for that.
That was well before we had that program.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. No, wait. Oh, yeah, we didn't have any money.
No.
Right. This is when you kept talking about gamifying the forum.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't shut up about it. It's because you took this course.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the point of listing your University of Victoria education
when I didn't finish it?
Very clear from the date range that you did not complete.
Well, I didn't finish the other one either.
That doesn't really answer my question at all.
Did you include yours?
I'm checking. Because if I'm going to shame you, then I guess I better check my own shiz over here.
You got your secondary school.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cringe.
I don't know if that's better, to be honest.
Founder. Committed to delivering fun,
YouTube video
engaging...
social media project coordinator. What a title.
I made it up, right? Obviously. Like, I didn't have a title. I don't think I ever got a formal promotion the entire time I worked at NCIX, but I definitely got paid a lot more. So I gave myself my own title. Everyone kind of picked their own title there, so whatever.
Yeah.
Retail sales representative, student works painting, lifeguarding, day camp counselor. Yeah, I got my... No, I didn't put university on there.
How long were you there?
Because I didn't get a degree and I didn't get a diploma. So I only counted...
You have fast as possible on there?
I have what? Whoa, hold on.
When did you update this?
Hold on. I have what? Sorry?
Go down further. Down.
What do you...
Down. Keep going. Publications, fast as possible. Linus Tech Tips, NCIX Tech Tips.
Yeah, well, we started fast as possible
Pretty
6
early.
days after LMG was officially started. Because remember, the idea behind it was that it was going to be...
It was that soon.
Yeah, fast as possible was so important because it was going to be the vehicle by which we were going to get way more views on our paid video production work for brands. We were going to create this channel.
Oh, yeah.
That was little explainers to get people subscribed and get momentum. And then it was going to also be just like fully paid videos for, you know, Corsair or Samsung or whatever the case may be. I would... Totally stupid plan based on how YouTube works now, where it's a lot more important how good the quality of the video is and a lot less important how many subscribers you have. But it seemed like kind of a good idea at the time. Yeah, we started it pretty much right away. And it was also at a time when pretty much everyone on YouTube had a secondary channel of some sort. You know, whether it was a vlog channel or behind the scenes channel or like
even a lot of them were just called like 2
cooking streams. Yeah, just 2.
Yeah.
So I wanted some kind of second identity, whether it was if the main channel went down or stopped growing or...
Something I discovered very recently, this is super off topic, but that there's a bunch of channels that just mirror themselves. They'll have another channel of a same, similar, or even completely different name that has all of the same content. And
really,
some people that do that have gotten mad because YouTube has like gotten rid of their channel, their additional channel because of impersonation. But they're like, no, wait, that's me. I was like, what? I had no idea this was a thing that people did.
Interesting.
And apparently they do it not actually for like algorithmic gains. They don't promote the other channel.
Okay, that's what I would have assumed.
So that if the first channel just gets deletified,
gets yoked,
they have the second one still. So if they get like content strikes on one of them, they can survive and just remove the videos that they got the content strikes from and then just keep going. At least that's what the like one person I saw talking about it.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
That might not be real. I don't know. I just saw one person commenting about that's what they do. It's like, that's interesting. But yeah, okay. Do we need to move on? Explain merch messages is our current thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. So we're trying to make the show a little bit more structured. We had a 5-hour WAN show last week, which was A, a lot, and B, not even remotely feasible today, given how late we ended up starting.
Yeah.
So Dan is trying to kind of keep us in line here. If you guys are not familiar yet, merch messages are the way to interact with the show. Send little messages that pop up in the bottom to your friends or your mom, assuming your mom watches the WAN show. So you could send a merch message. You're the only person whose mom I know watches the WAN show. It also allows you to send in
more, I'm sure.
topic suggestions, just, you know, generally show some love. It's a better way to interact with the show because unlike a Twitch bit or a super chat or whatever else the case may be, a merch message might not get a response. We do our best. But even if it doesn't, you will get your order in the mail in however long it takes to get to America or Timbuktu or Australia or wherever it happens to be that you live, or if you're buying a gift for someone else. So why don't we do a couple of merch messages to kind of... Oh, right. The way it works is you go on lttstore.com, and in the checkout, you'll see a little box. Whenever we're live, there's a box where you can fill in your merch message, and it'll go into a queue to be sorted by Producer Dan. Dan, do you want to hit us with a couple merch messages, and then we'll move on to our next topic?
I do. I've got a couple good ones here for you. First up is from Adrian. If LMG didn't exist and you could choose to do whatever you wanted, where would you work and in what position?
Well, the position would definitely be on all fours. Okay, no, hold on. Okay, I'm going to answer this two different ways. I'm going to answer without the if you could choose to do whatever you wanted. If LMG didn't exist, probably it would have collapsed around the first 3 to 6 months. And I had a pretty solid job.
Or just never started.
Yeah, I had a pretty solid job offer at Western Digital.
I remember that.
And like it looked pretty good compared to the constant existential crisis that was Linus Media Group at that time. I was thinking about it seriously enough. Like I always told them no, right? But I was thinking about it enough. It was troubling me enough that I did talk to Luke and Ed about it. I was like, hey, so this is like a thing.
It was fun because I lived with him at the time, and I had both Ed and I had completely abandoned our educational prospects, which we were both doing very well with in order to start this company. And then after we did that, he was talking to us, and I was hearing him and Yvonne update his LinkedIn profile so he could get a different job and abandon this project. That was a very cool era.
When did I update my LinkedIn profile?
I was already living with you, and we were working on this.
Are you sure?
You were updating your LinkedIn because of the WD thing.
I remember writing all of this stuff on my LinkedIn profile in my office when I was still at NCIX because I gave them like 6 months notice.
Oh, you might have also done that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not saying it was exclusively at that time.
Okay, I can tell you I didn't update much. I know because I updated my LinkedIn before I left because I wanted to be able to check a whole bunch of numbers while I still had access to the internal system. Like, how much did I grow the revenue on this line from when to when? So I did the vast majority of that then.
It was communicated as a, like, if this does burn, this is my plan. But the plan is for it to not burn. And
I did talk to you.
And that was, I
was open about it.
I would rather know. So like, I'm not mad about it. It was just a spicy moment. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, we made it. We made it.
Yeah. And like, it wasn't like I wasn't considering what I would do if it burnt as well. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if Ed was.
I'm not sure.
I think he just had no plan. It's like, no, I don't know. School
I'll figure it out.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's pointless. I don't know. Just not do that.
You probably would have been fine with it.
So I had tried to apply to Amazon. So that was clearly something that I wanted to do. I didn't get the job at Amazon. So I went full bore into getting Linus Media Group started. And then shortly into Linus Media Group, I got the offer from WD. That was probably the best offer that I got and might have catapulted me into some kind of marketing position somewhere else. Would I have ended up... I would have, if I had gotten desperate enough. Paul and Kyle, I think, had already split from Newegg at this point. I'm not 100% sure. But just like running and joining the video team there, I don't think they had. I think they were still there. But if I had applied, I'm sure I could have, become a host there. That was an option that I was turning over in my mind.
There was some plan. Oh, man. I don't know if I'm hallucinating this or not. I think there was some plan.
Are you Chat GPT?
I think there was some plan at some point that we had talked about where if it didn't work, you and I were both going to go somewhere. I don't remember where.
I told you that one of the conditions that I had given to WD in the very short conversations was that I wanted to be able to bring my team with me because they wanted me to do some video stuff there in some capacity.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that...
Maybe that was it. It's actually genuinely been a very long time.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember the exact details of the conversations.
Yeah. So if I recall correctly, they weren't that
enthused on that.
Yeah, they weren't that into that. Yeah. Well, I don't think because you guys weren't good. I think just because they didn't really know you guys.
And that's a sudden change to the ask.
Yeah.
Hey, if you hire me, you have to hire 3 people. That's like... Well,
by that time, Brandon was with us too.
4.
So
yeah.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Now I'm going to answer as though I could do anything I want. I don't know. Being like a professional footballer looks pretty good. I mean soccer.
By that, do you mean soccer? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean soccer. Like, like if I could just be like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Not badminton?
Well, they don't make any money.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it seemed like that seems pretty good. Or like, oh man, can I just be the son of like someone who has a job? Is that it appears to be a thing.
Yeah.
No, that
doesn't really count, but
that's all
that
a
is
lie.
A thing.
No, that's a lie, because I think you and I both know that I
want to
wouldn't
do something.
I wouldn't be happy. I was having this conversation with Jake actually like 2 days ago, because he sent me a picture of his trunk full of new speakers when we just upgraded his speakers as part of his Extreme Tech upgrade. Okay. And then a week or 2 weeks later, he's sending me pictures of his Home Depot run where he got this super cool new acoustic material and some rock wool. And then the week after that, he's sending me pictures of like...
He's been on a mega sound kick for a while.
Him building panels and, putting fabric over them and whatever. And I'm like, brother, you know why you drive me crazy? Because you are just like me. That is the worst thing about you. You are just like me. How long have you actually spent listening to music? And I have his response. This is fantastic. Hold on, where is it? Like the number of hours he has spent optimizing his setup. Dell switches. Oh man, I text Jake a lot. The problem is that I'm on Teams. Okay, hold on. This is taking far too long. I'm so sorry. I thought this was going to be the kind of thing that I just had ready at a moment's notice. Anyway, whatever. The point is, it was like 4 minutes. Because he spent all his time setting
Building
it up, many hours, and it was like, dang, this sounds awesome.
So it's like how you would spend like weeks building the perfect thing with a computer and then don't play any games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how I would spend hours setting up a headphone listening room with all different amps and DACs and headphones, which we did here, and then not use it once. Or like how I would set up a gaming lounge so that I can hang out on lounge nights, only to show up a grand total of probably 3 times I think I've managed to make it to lounge night. And I even have made it like part of Chase's duties, our event coordinator, part of his duties to ensure that those happen every 2 weeks. So they're happening. I'm paying for it. And I almost never actually get to go. Or, okay, since we're at it, how I would set up a home theater room so that, I guess my kids use it, but I think I've actually only watched about 4 movies since we moved in the theater room. Because I can't help it. I would rather build the Lego kit than actually play with my Lego dragon when I'm done. Mm-hmm. It's just the way that I am. So if I had to get into an industry, maybe I would get into like commercial real estate development, something like that. If the clients weren't horrible, I think it could actually be pretty enjoyable, because you're just constantly learning about what this person's work, what this organization's workflow is.
I feel like you and Yvonne both like that.
And finding solutions and optimizing. I think another thing that would be pretty fun for me is anything to do with anything like really hands-on. Nope, that's what I'm going with. Okay, your answer.
I had a ton of different paths that I was pursuing, like actually an insane amount of different things that I was actually working on. The most direct path that I was on, the thing that I had like an offer for and whatnot, was like software development and database management based. Would I have wanted to do that forever? Probably not, but it seemed like the most direct path out of school.
And you would have just automated the vast majority of it and like, I don't know, played video games, but I think you would have gotten bored.
I would have gotten bored. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Unless you did it at a really small company where everything was constantly on fire.
So what I think I actually probably would have ended up doing, this is still not like get to pick anything in the world as your career,
Yeah.
but like disaster recovery.
Okay,
I
sure.
genuinely think I would really enjoy that. Probably like nation scale. So like natural disaster recovery.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So like figuring out how comms and logistics are going to work and whatever else. Okay.
And then like coordinating responses and doing all that kind of stuff.
That'd
I
be pretty
genuinely
cool.
think I would really like that. If I could pick anything, astronaut. And I actually do mean that seriously. I just don't think I would actually be able to like make the cut right now. to
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah. No, you got to be
'Cause you have to be,
a
like,
genius and
perfect.
like an athlete
Yeah.
and whatever.
And like I have bad eyes and dyslexia and like other things where like
yeah. And you're like almost too old.
at this point, yeah, probably.
Like,
Yeah.
get wrecked.
I mean, I thought about it when I was younger, and then I thought about the cuts that you have to go along and all this type of stuff, and where you end up if you don't make the cuts. And I was like, yeah, probably not. I think I'm not going to go in that direction.
Right. So it's one of those career paths like star quarterback.
Yeah.
Where if you make it, cool.
Great.
And if you don't,
it's like, and it's not 100% that way because you usually end up with a very extreme education experience and stuff. And the jobs that you can get if you don't make it are very good
sure,
often.
respectable.
Yes, but not what I would necessarily want to do.
I get it.
So it's not quite it's sort of as in like it ends you up somewhere that you don't want to be, but not as much because a lot of the potential jobs are like very serious, big time career type things, but they're still not necessarily things that I would want to do.
Hit us again, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's about time to move on to some more topics, unless you really do want another one.
Yeah, you have to give us one more. Sorry, that was the
All right.
rules.
All right.
I don't make the rules.
You do. We're working through it together. Okay, next up is from Gary. Discuss. This is more of a demand than a question, it seems. A pair of 17-year-old students used a Flipper Zero, finding flaws in their school's RFID and network. Students are now facing legal trouble. What do you tell the parents, students?
So this is a tough one because while they might have been right
We're
to
missing some information.
find vulnerabilities. Yeah, we don't have the whole story here. So I'm going to have to kind of come at it a few different ways. While they might have been right to find and disclose vulnerabilities, to actually enact them, to exploit them in any way could very well be illegal. It's kind of like how it would be fine to knock on someone's door and tell them, hey, that lock on your door is super insecure and you should replace it. Have a great one. See you later. That's fine.
But if you sit there attempting to pick it.
But if you sit there and pick it and walk into their house and you're like, hey, well-meaning neighbor, yeah, everything's chill, so I'll be on my way in a sec, but your door is super insecure. I was able to pick that in like 10 seconds. See you later. That's still breaking and entering.
Yeah.
So
there's some stuff about this that we don't know. If they detected vulnerabilities using Flipper Zero, didn't do anything with them, and then reported it to the school, and the school is trying to go after them with legal trouble, I hope that the internet rains down on that school with everything they've got. If they like did abuse things, I still think they should have a light hand with them. They're students.
we don't know how old these students are.
That's fair.
There are students who are like 18 and
A pair of
perfectly-
17-year-old students. We actually do know how old they're.
Yeah, they're old enough. I mean, come on.
It depends what they do, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
If they like mess around and like change the text on the school sign,
yeah, that's pretty
like,
minor.
yeah,
That's just pranks.
give them a slap on the wrist, whatever. If they tried to like change their grades or something, I'm not saying this is even like possible with that system. I'm just saying like that level of thing, then that could be a problem, you know. No, don't say that. Don't say what? What did I say? I don't know. Whatever. Moving on.
All right, let's move on to our next topic here. Do you want to talk about the Mario movie?
Yeah, sure.
Now, you haven't seen it,
No.
right?
Nope.
Have you read reviews
Or
or watched reviews? I don't know. How do people review these days?
Sort of.
Okay.
It's doing better than I thought it was going to do.
What are your expectations? Are you going to watch it? Because you never go to the movies.
I very rarely go to the movies.
When's the last time you went to a movie?
I literally don't know.
Was it when we went to see the second Kingsman?
I think so, yeah.
Because that was there's the third one is out, you know?
Did we go see that one?
No, we watched that one at my place.
Oh, yeah.
Very disappointing.
Because I remember it. Yeah, it was pretty
The third one was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Are you going to go?
I don't know. I am planning on going to the movies soon. I want to go see John Wick 4 with Brandon.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
I like going to see cinematic movies with Brandon because then he gets to geek out about them afterwards. And it's that's fun. But I don't know. I would probably wait for it to come to some service that I can definitely watch because I definitely subscribe to it.
It's surprisingly fine.
Okay.
My expectations based on the critical reception were pretty low.
Oh, yeah. I assumed it was garbage. And then apparently people seem to like it a decent amount. Yeah, right now on Rotten Tomatoes, let me jump to my screen. Not that one. Oh, boy.
He's
this
good
one.
at this.
The tomato meter, so the reviewers gave it a 58, but audience 96.
Yeah.
People like it.
Those are both completely wrong. It is not a 96% piece of storytelling.
Well, okay, no.
It's a visual fiesta.
That's not how Rotten Tomatoes works. Because Rotten Tomatoes is yes or no, and if you vote yes, it's it goes up. Okay.
Yeah, but in general, what would typically be a 96% would have to have everything. It would have to be great fun for the whole family, all the multiple layers of whatever, something like an Up is a masterful animated film.
Definitely.
It's not Up.
Right. What is Up's ratings?
Oh, it's probably close to 100%.
I mean, I kind of hope so. 98?
Yeah. It's not 2%.
Yeah.
It's not 2% worse than Up. It's not close.
The audience score for Up is 90. The tomato meter is 98.
Up is
people have bad taste.
Yeah. So anyway, the Super Mario Brothers movie, though, what it is good, clean fun. It's Nintendo.
I mean, that's probably good.
It's good, clean fun. It's everything that I was worried would be kind of garbage about it. Like if they overdid the references, and they did. It's
of course there's a lot of references.
It's from one reference to another reference, but Nintendo has what are we coming up on 40 years of modern era video gaming content
not their
to pull
old
from
playing cards.
Whether it's music or characters or environments or game or mechanics or whatever else it is. Sorry, plumbers. Nintendo has so much to draw on that they can do that without it feeling stale, and I enjoyed it. It's not the kind of thing that I would watch again. I don't need that. I definitely, I prefer Despicable Me if I'm gonna, pick an Illumination film that I like better.
Okay.
But it was fine.
Good enough.
Yeah, it was totally good enough. The kids loved it.
Do you feel like the voice acting detracted from it?
You know what? Controversial take. Here we go. I thought Chris Pratt was fine. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was terrible. She took me out of the movie basically every time Princess Peach opened her mouth.
And it didn't take you out for Chris Pratt?
No, it's fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy to me is that the voice actor for Mario is alive and
He's
around.
in the
and
movie.
Stuff. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. It's like I said, everything that I thought was terrible, and I'm not really spoiling anything. He's revealed in the first couple minutes. Everything that I thought was going to be bad was fine.
I want to ask how they explain that away and stuff, but it's going to be too spoilery.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
And it's fine. Yeah. The second one is going to be dog shit. I'm calling it.
You feel like they spent all their
Yep.
Yep. All the good references are spent, etc.
Well, any character development that they can do for Mario is there's plenty more to explore. They have set up a cinematic universe worth of things to explore.
Yeah.
which means someone is on a time crunch creating the next cookie cutter installment of this that is meant to come out on X schedule, come hell or high water. And don't forget about the TV show tie-ins and all the video game tie-ins that you're gonna have to play in order to know what's happening when Peach gets captured by Bowser and goes there and she gets rescued, and there's gonna be a little wink to the audience in Super Mario Brothers Movie 4 and Toad's standalone adventure movie when he has Toad's Adventure 2 or whatever. It's going to be awful. I'm calling it now. It's going to get super self-referential to itself rather than to the rich video game history. Or I could be totally wrong and Nintendo could go an utterly different direction with it. Spoilers? No, there's no spoilers. I'm just talking about it.
Spoilers for the movie that isn't out yet?
Yeah, exactly, guys. But yeah, Smash Bros. Multiverse is 100% going to be a thing, and it's going to be atrocious. Because the other thing, too, is they went with all their most recognizable characters right out of the gate. So what? It's going to be like Icarus and Game & Watch? Right?
Do you think they could do the adventures of someone else?
I mean, they could...
Just wouldn't perform as well?
I think if they wanted it to be good, they would probably go separate universes.
Do you think they could do stuff like someone in Floatplane chat mentioned Luigi going Ghostbusters? Do you think they could do like a murder mystery style thing with like the Luigi haunted house stuff?
There's so much room for them to do something creative and amazing. You know, I'd love to see a Zelda movie.
Oh,
I'd love to see it done really well.
It would have to be done really well.
Totally different. Like,
I'm still burnt off the Warcraft movie.
Like,
I still have a huge lack of trust. Because
I almost want like Castaway kind of vibes where it really focuses on Link and his lonely wandering, or something. Do something tonally different. The problem is that this is now the most successful animated film of all time. In terms of like its first week take.
Yeah.
And you know how bean counters work, whether they're Nintendo bean counters
Give us number 2
or Disney bean counters. That, more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's disappointing. Yeah, like Breath of the Wild, like Legend of Zelda spin-off movie could actually be super sick. Like a hardcore survival film, but it's like Link trying to...
Ooh, live action would be cool. Yeah, it could be good. You want it to be animated.
My thing is,
I don't think it should be cutesy.
They took the Warcraft movie, which has like people would watch. This was actually a thing. People uploaded just all of the cinematics for Warcraft 3, which don't even go into each other properly, and just uploaded all of them in one video file onto YouTube.
Still a better movie than Twilight.
And people would just watch the whole thing all the way through. It had tons of views back in the day because the cinematics that Blizzard made for so long, even now, when they make full-fledged ones, because not the in-game ones, but when they make full-fledged ones, are like just absolutely legendary cinematics. And then they're like, Warcraft movie, live action. Like, what are you doing? And so I question that a little bit.
Sure.
I actually think it would be like more legit. I hazard saying this. I think it would be more legit to do that with Legend of Zelda than it is with Warcraft or really any Blizzard title, to be completely honest. But I still I hazard that. There's all these like Disney, like, oh, we're going to live action Lion King. That's stupid. Don't do that.
Well, yeah, it's not even live action. That's just an animated movie.
It's just dumb.
Just like in a realistic style.
Oh, let's take all the emotion out of it. Cool. I'm
speaking out of ignorance. I haven't watched it because I don't care.
Yeah. I
read the comments.
I'm just like concerned. That's all.
Shia LaBeouf as Link. Okay, you guys are memeing now. That's not funny. It's pretty funny.
Like super immersive about it. There's like Shia LaBeouf gets arrested for like smashing pots at like Home Depot or something. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's not Ezra Miller, so like,
I don't know who that is.
oh, that's the actor that is just plays the Flash and is, as far as we can tell, just a complete weirdo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Man, speaking of method actors, though, I would love, oh man, this is embarrassing. Viggo Mortensen, I'd love him as like Ganondorf or something. Just like play a villain for a change. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's Aragorn. by
I
the
know.
way.
I knew that
He
one.
doesn't know actors. So
Yeah, but I
it's
knew
hard
that
for
one
him.
because I'm like a Lord of the Rings nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we jump into Microsoft could be working on a Windows handheld mode for Steamdeck alikes. This is super exciting. Not because I want the Steam Deck to fail or because I want SteamOS to see any less development, not because I think that Windows is an alternative to SteamOS or that I want it to become this easier path. Blah, blah, blah. None of those things, but because competition is good. Valve's competition in the space lit a fire under Microsoft, and we shouldn't let Valve run unopposed either. I mean, look how little innovation there was in Steam until EA and Ubisoft basically said, look, we're going to take our ball and we're going to go home. Well, Valve innovated. Would they have done it anyway? I don't know, maybe. Maybe not, though. So this is exciting. Prolific Microsoft leaker Walking Cat shared 2 videos on Twitter that were taken from a pitch for an internal Microsoft hackathon project showcasing a Windows handheld mode. The pitch acknowledges that the handheld PC market is growing thanks to a device called the Steamdeck. This is a direct quote. And shows prototype features that would make Windows easier to use on such devices, such as optimizing the onboarding experience, which right now is very kludgy, a cross-platform game launcher built right into Windows. Are we going back to the games folder from Vista? Because I'm actually down.
I liked it.
It was kind of awesome.
It was good. I complained very recently on a WAN show about how it's kind of annoying right now about how everything is trying to be your games launcher. And like I would actually just prefer one of them.
And if Microsoft
annoying.
had stuck with it, like one of the things that it did was it pushed game developers to move their save games to one place. So instead of having it sometimes being in app data roaming and sometimes being in program files in the game folder and sometimes being in my games and sometimes just being in my documents, like, man, game developers have never been able to decide where your saves go. So Microsoft, one of the good things they did with Vista and with the games folder was they consolidated it. It all went in one place. So when I had to reformat or whatever else, because cloud saves weren't as much of a thing, it was one folder that I dragged and it was good to go, right?
Now you got to deal with like, is it in app data or is it saved somewhere else or what the heck's
is it
going
cloud
on?
saved? Oh man, cloud saves are both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I set my kids up to play It Takes Two in the car at one point, and they were like, "Hey, what happened to our game?" I was like, "I don't know." Oh yeah, it turns out It Takes Two just doesn't cloud save on Steam. It's like just not supported. And then I saw this really awful video on, I don't know if it was TikTok or something. Anyway, someone was talking about how their Animal Crossing save. They had like 500 hours in Animal Crossing, and their Switch got corrupted during an update, and it's gone. Even though they do pay Nintendo for their stupid hostage-taking cloud save feature. Nintendo was just like, oh yeah, you have to manually enable Animal Crossing saves because they're big. This is a paid service, Nintendo. It's paid.
That's actually so brutal. I had seen like people were upset about Animal Crossing saves, but I didn't know why. That's so brutal.
This is something we've
It's
talked
actually like almost unbelievable levels of brutal.
of just hating your customers.
yeah, like what the? Oh man. Ugh. You mentioned when talking about the Mario movie, you're like, yep, it's good, clean fun, like Nintendo. It sucks that Nintendo has to come with this incredibly ugly downside all the time.
Yep.
It's like, what? It wouldn't be that hard to just be like the
A bro.
company that's just
To
solid.
be a Super Mario
Are the
bro.
games expensive? Do they never go on discount? Yeah, sure. But like they're
But
always good.
you can back up your save to
You
an
can-
SD card for no charge because the SD card slot is right there on the console, and why wouldn't we let you do that?
That kind of stuff, right? Like it seems like it would make sense for the brand, but they just can't. They just have to be buttholes. And it's like, man, why? I don't know. I do have to bring back. I don't know if you mentioned this. Sorry, I've been working on something. But this was a hackathon project,
Right.
so like I wouldn't take this as a like they're working on it.
But there's other cool ideas,
But
like driver handling, touch keyboard, controller navigation of keyboard and common Windows elements like task view, controller support outside of Steam, and more. Like Luke says, this is no guarantee, but the Microsoft employees who made the presentation seem passionate about it, saying that Windows and Xbox app users deserve this and need this. They're so right. How have Windows and Xbox not merged more?
yeah,
They're even doing a lot of the things right.
but not 100% of the way. And these hackathons are often positioned to be able to find projects like this. So it is very possible that this does get done. I just don't want people being like, oh, this is coming? Cool. Because it's not necessarily coming.
There's no word on whether they've started any kind of development on the project, but as PC World points out, they'd be kind of dumb not to. With the proliferation of these devices and with the gap that Valve's inertia seems to have left in the market, the ROG Ally is outstanding.
Yeah.
The amount of time that I've spent with it now is much more than the last time I talked about it, and like I was just
It's replaced the Steamdeck for you then?
Yvonne and I were having one of our home meetings because she can never talk to me at work because no one will let her. So
It's very hard to get a meeting with you.
yeah. So she.
It's actually like a battle every time.
So anyway, she had a whole bunch of stuff in her inbox that was tagged "Discuss with Linus," and I was just chilling on the floor in the computer room playing Vampire Survivors on the ROG Ally, with it being completely dead silent in the power saving mode because it's not a super demanding game. And I mean, it's obviously a pretty like brain turned off kind of game, just like essentially having a meeting.
Yeah.
It runs it's so smooth, 120 hertz. It's way more powerful than the Steam Deck. Way more powerful. And it's not going to be the only one.
Is it cool to have a computing device where you had a very significant performance jump that was noticeable?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that
Yeah.
hasn't super been a thing for a while. But I recognized only just now, but I've had this feeling the whole time you've been talking about it,
Yeah.
that there's like a different level of excitement. Because this like super perceivable jump in performance is
Yeah.
not so much of a thing lately.
No, it's not. It's twice as fast.
Yeah, and
it's-
that's like, that's crazy.
And it is still a thing. It is still a thing.
And like if an SSD was twice as fast right now,
It wouldn't matter.
most users are not going to notice.
But okay, so that's exactly the thing. There are still big upgrades. The 4090 is an enormous upgrade over the 3090 for $1,600 US.
Yeah,
Starting at.
for a single component of your computer.
But here we're talking about, I hope we're talking about a device that is under or around $1,000, right? And that's
and
for
it's
the
a
whole
complete
thing.
device. Yes.
It's a complete experience. It's not an add-in board that you put in another thing.
Yeah.
That also costs a lot of money, right?
And also like needs its own level of heightened support because you need like a crazy power supply and
Exactly.
solid cooling and all this other kind of stuff.
Exactly. No, I'm jazzed. And don't imagine for a second that if ASUS is successful with the ROG Ally, that you're not going to see other PC manufacturers chime in, because this is something I was trying to figure out. It's like, who the heck is Ioneo? Who is One X Player? Who is, GPD? Like, who are these guys? And I know who they are. Like, I have communicated with them. I understand who they are.
You actually very directly know.
But my point was that they are not ASUS.
They're not major players.
They are not MSI, Gigabyte. And if these guys can get to market, if the minimum order quantities and the relationship building with the AMDs or the Intels of the world is so relatively easy, absolutely nothing would prevent a manufacturer with the expertise of an ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, Acer, Dell, whoever, nothing would prevent them from coming out with one. Like, okay,
Do you think this is going to be
let's
bad
go. It's
for
a laptop, but it doesn't sure.
Do you think it's going to be bad for the GPDs, Ioneos,
they're done.
etc. of the world? Yeah. That sucks.
Hold on. They still have an opportunity to maintain their niche. GPD is the only one who really takes the keyboard seriously. Okay, so there's still room for them. Aya Neo, they were doing some really cool things with Aya Space. So their skin/launcher, some really cool ideas. Their overlay, really cool ideas there for being able to, kind of like the Steamdeck, right? Adjust your brightness and your volume and your power profile and whatever else while you're in game. Really cool ideas there. I feel like compared to, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, it's just kind of more bloated and buggy and hasn't really added anything useful for me. And so if they can really do a great job of that and make that supplementary to anything that Microsoft builds into Windows, I think it could be really good. Like Aya Neo at their best has had way better auto switching of joy to mouse and then switching into controller mode as you launch games and then go back to the Windows desktop. But then it got really bad around the time Windows 11 launched, which I would have to assume is something to do with Microsoft. Thank you very much. But I don't know that for sure. Whereas Asus right now, it's pretty rough. I basically just use a touchscreen.
Right.
Like it sucks. Like they have a toggle for it, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't work.
And there's room for these there's absolutely room for these companies to have acquisitions happen. You even mentioned like there's all these major players in the space that could do it, but there's like software advantages or whatever that these small companies have. That's like exactly why those things happen.
Yeah, 100%. But then if I'm I don't think it would though. Like I'm thinking of everything I know about MSI and their product development. And
I don't think MSI would do it.
I think
they would just
do it. They'd just be like, no, we'll do it ourselves, and it doesn't matter if it's crappy.
But like Alienware.
Okay. Would Dell? No, Dell would build it themselves, and it would be less crappy.
But
than
still crappy.
MSI. Yeah. Like it's just,
dang.
What is it about hardware companies and just being utterly unable to do software?
It's actually like I don't find that there's a ton of companies that can do both. It's actually kind of difficult to cross over.
Yeah, they're like, why is Apple, the first to cross $1 trillion valuation?
Yeah, because they can do both. It's hard.
Yeah, Intel software is like, their consumer-facing software is kind of janky.
Do we want to talk about the ARC stuff?
Yeah. Like, there's definitely software things that I'm pretty sure Intel does pretty well. Like, my understanding is a lot of their, like, compiler stuff is very robust.
A lot of their, like, hardcore behind-the-scenes type of stuff is pretty solid. A lot of their user-facing stuff, the UIs look like they're from the early 2000s. Whatever it was even
and
called.
That's when they work.
Art Control or whatever was a hot pile of garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. They feel extremely not modern on the user side or completely broken in regards to
when you look at like a software company like Facebook trying to do hardware, it's like, oh, Portal. Boo.
Yeah. Like it's actually pretty hard to cross.
I mean, they technically do hardware now, but they acquired Oculus. And what have they realistically launched as Meta? Like developed and launched. Okay, so
they've done headsets.
But they still had a lot of the Oculus team when they developed, Rift S or when they developed Quest 1.
Oh, I see. So the Pro is like the only.
Yeah. And it's a flop as far as I can tell. It's not a bad device, but it's not commercially viable.
Someone's saying their driver support is normally amazing. Yeah, like the behind the scenes stuff from Intel is traditionally quite good.
Yeah.
I will 100% give them that. It's more the user facing stuff. Anyways, new topic.
Just like our sponsors face our users. Massive shout out to Jump Cloud for sponsoring this episode. Okay. Don't worry, there's no weird fries challenge this week, says Dennis. Jump Cloud is an open directory platform that can centralize your technology stack across identity, access, and device management. You can use Jump Cloud to handle identities and access with maximum ease and maximum security. With support for Mac, Windows, and Linux, no matter the platform, Jump Cloud has your back. In the Device Management tab, you can provide user access, apply policy configurations, or run commands. So it allows you to decrease IT expenses and ongoing costs and scale your organization with confidence without massive tech overhead and infrastructure or people. Try Jump Cloud today using the link in the description below. The show is also brought to you by Goliath. What the crap am I looking at here? Are you always breaking things without Oh, I see. Without knowing? Don't worry, because Goliath is here to troubleshoot your problems. Goliath is a best-in-class end-user experience monitoring and troubleshooting software that helps find the root cause of any IT issue in as little time as possible. They claim 3 clicks or less for the most complex Citrix or VMware Horizon user issues. Oh no. Yeah, okay, now that's what they say. The technology comes with embedded intelligence and automation, so you can be set up and operating in minutes, and all the policies are designed by experts and tell you what to monitor for and how to interpret the data. So if you have Citrix or VMware Horizon and are having performance issues, Goliath can help. And if you're in healthcare, Goliath comes with industry-only modules for Cerner, Epic, and Meditech. Sign up for a free trial and save 20% using the link in the description. Finally, the show is brought to you by Seasonic. Seasonic's Prime TX 1000 power supply delivers the power that you need. It features an 80+ titanium efficiency rating. That means less power gets wasted during power conversion. It's fully modular and features hybrid fan control to keep overall fan noise under control. It also uses a fluid dynamic bearing fan, which contributes to quietness and also to longevity. It comes with a 12-year warranty, so if you're looking to build a new system and looking for a power supply you can rely on, trust me, you can trust Seasonic. I mean, yeah, these guys have been at it as long as I have. They were founded the same year I was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, learn more about them at seasonic.com or through the link down below. It was always really confusing to me, Seasonic. The fact that they had no retail presence, like I'm talking 15 years ago or whatever, when it was obvious that everyone who made a decent power supply was using either them or a handful of other OEMs. And I'm kind of going,
let me buy direct, man.
Is it really that hard to spray a coat of black paint on your boring gray power supply, put a little bit of sleeving on the cable, and make a box? You know? Because as far as I can tell, that's what everyone.
Remaining.
Yeah, that's what everyone else is doing. Yeah. Apparently, Seasonic had the same idea. It's like, okay,
I guess we'll do that.
Really doesn't seem that hard. Why are we letting Corsair have all the fun?
Which I'm happy about, because something that I legitimately used to do was look into who made the power supply I was buying to figure out what the basically cheapest actually Seasonic option was at the time.
Yeah.
And then just buy that. So now it's just more simple.
Yeah, like when XFX broke into the power supply market, their whole claim to fame was, unlike Corsair, who has moved on and is using other OEMs now, all of ours are Seasonic.
Yeah. So, okay. Actually a selling point for a bunch of people.
I would totally do an LTT power supply just made by Seasonic. I'd be super into that. And I wouldn't even hide it. I'd be like, yeah, it costs more so that we get our cut. It's Seasonic.
It's now partially orange or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, because it would have to be RGB, so it matches everyone's system. It's just that the RGB would be configured out of the box orange.
By default. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, there.
Perfect.
That's what makes it LTT. Boom. Done. Easy. But then at that point, why don't we just sell Seasonic power supplies on lttstore.com?
Hey, there's a plan.
Yeah, I'd be down. They're good.
3 merch messages is apparently the current task.
All right. Hit us with some merch messages, Badan.
All right, this one is a little bit anonymous, obviously, and is probably directed towards Luke. Is AI-generated adult content a more ethical solution than current adult industry and OnlyFans?
Wow.
Wow, what a quagmire.
Wow.
All right, well, I'm glad you said this was, pun intended, by the way. I'm glad you said this was directed at Luke.
Just going to dodge that bullet. Oh, wow.
Let's let the internet freak out at you for a change.
Let me reread this. More ethical solution than current adult industry
and
OnlyFans. There is a ton to unpack here. I think it would be less ethical in a bunch of ways, potentially more ethical in other ways. I think it's super convoluted. There are definitely OnlyFans things. Wow, this entirely depends on how you define your ethics. I have seen a lot of people comment about how OnlyFans has enabled certain creators to be much more safe in what they do, to have more ownership over their own stuff. They don't have to work through other companies anymore. They don't have to necessarily work with other people at all anymore. They can just operate on their own regard. So I've heard good things about that. Does AI solve that? No. So I don't know. Also, there's a topic we're going to be talking about later, more specifically in the realm of music, but AI models, whatever, has been used to like deepfake people that gave no consent and were clearly not okay with it at all. So that's clearly ethically bad. I don't care where your ethics lie. That's just clearly not okay. And these AI models are trained off of image data sets that include real people. Are they capable of generating stuff completely originally? Well, they're going to base it off of things that they learnt from people, but it could look genuinely, literally nothing like anyone else that currently exists. So that's cool, I guess.
My understanding, not that I speak from personal experience, but my understanding is that the pornography industry is extremely predisposed towards exploitive practices.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of very bad things.
Which kind of checks out.
But I've also heard that there's good things. But you might be against the entire thing. So I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's a fine line between, understanding that people have agency and can make their own decisions.
Yes.
While also protecting people who would make extremely self-harmful decisions that would allow them to be exploited by ne'er-do-wells.
Also, bad people saying that certain person involved with something has their own agency and is free when that person isn't is totally a thing that happens.
That's totally bad.
Yep. This is a minefield. Let's move on. Next question.
Really? Because I was going to throw another curveball at you. I was going to say, even if the AI generated content
sure,
only accidentally looked like someone and wasn't intentionally trained on an individual,
that's still a problem.
How could you even prevent that?
But then there's also people that look like other people.
Yeah.
That label their stuff as that other person.
Oh, right, and that's totally a thing.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a minefield.
All right, see you later.
Let's move on.
Okay, up next. Hey, DLL, as a calibration tech, I often see settings hidden behind proprietary information. Do you feel this is okay, or should it fall under right to repair? And will the lab's equipment be calibrated?
Well, okay, for starters, the lab's equipment must be calibrated because otherwise, how could we trust any of the results that come out of it? For another, equipment calibration is a tough one. Because on the one hand, yes, everything is right to repair. I saw another merch message about, for example, even just like hidden menus in TVs and stuff like that isn't to do with calibration, but is just to access settings that are not considered safe. For example, my LG TV that I was using as a monitor, there was a special service remote you could get to access a special menu that would allow you to turn off some of the OLED saver technology so that it would function better as a monitor. Obviously, I think I should be allowed to use my hardware however I want to use it. But on the other hand, well, who is responsible then? Who is verifying the integrity of this calibration? Unless there's some kind of validation or certification process, is it calibrated? I could see a compromise being that everyone should have access to the menu.
So wait, are you talking about labs equipment at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not talking about the TV anymore.
No, I could see a compromise being that they allow you to have access to all the same menus and IO ports or whatever else it is. I think that they should provide the equipment and the training if you want to do it yourself. But I think that it could make sense for them to have a program where they're the ones who do it and they have their own sort of certification that they will apply to it. Yeah.
There could be a log that you can't modify or delete that notes changes made to certain calibration settings, and whether that change was made by like an approved agent or not. Because yeah, like you should absolutely be able to change it yourself, but that doesn't mean it's like verified calibration by whatever authority. But that might be fine. You might not care about that. You should still be able to do it, in my opinion.
You want another one?
Yep.
All right, here's our third. This one is another anonymous. Hey, oh, no, somebody reordered them. I think many people are shocked by LTT store prices because they're unfamiliar with the higher end of the markets you compete in. Have you ever been shocked by prices in unfamiliar markets before?
Oh, sure.
Yep.
I mean, I made a whole video about what the heck is going on with cinema camera prices. And the craziest part is Red was a disruptor.
Yeah.
Get your mind around that. Red came in and undercut the cinema market, the cinema camera market. They democratized the creation of high resolution, like filmic resolution digital cinema.
We talked earlier on this show about an MSRP $35,000 graphics card. Right?
Yeah.
That was probably shocking for a bunch of people watching.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I remember talking about this on the WAN show at some point. I think I talked about this on the WAN show. I remember being called very out of touch for saying something along the lines of consumer computer hardware is not expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because from a business standpoint, it's not. A GPU in the when you gotta, everything is relative, right? A GPU, okay, costs nothing to an organization like us in the grand scheme of things. Think about how many people
Compared
work
to
here.
employee salary,
We're up to about
benefits.
For someone to be in the building for a pay period, okay, it's like GPU, right? And then, okay, well, that times 26 times a year.
Like, it still matters.
Yeah,
but
like every head count we add is like equipping a quarter of our staff with an RTX 4090. Think about that.
Yeah.
Right? So consumer electronics, what I meant was for what they are, it's amazing how little they cost. When we look at what we got for $1,000 back in 1995, the fact that you can buy a 4070 Ti for $1,000 is mind-blowing.
The technological advancements,
Right?
I think the like most easy to visualize version of that was when you talk about storage. People do this all the time, so this
Yeah.
is not original at all. But you look at like old hard drives. Like this is how many hard drives it would have taken in 1998 to amass a terabyte worth of data. And
Yeah.
here's like a 1 terabyte micro SD card.
Here you go.
It's like, whoa.
It's wild. Yeah, people are talking about this now. It's like DS2600 in Floatplane chat says, I just bought a Cisco router for $1.2 million for my company. Is that outrageous? Not if your company is going to generate $6 million of revenue with it. Because that's the thing. It's a completely different calculus.
Sheesh.
It's not how much enjoyment will I get from this router or from this add-in card. It's how much revenue will this generate for the company. If I spend this $1,000 that I'm blessed enough to have to reinvest, will I get $1,100 or $1,500 or $3,000, assuming that I make very efficient use of it? So I forget how we started this question. What was the question? The pricing of. So have we ever? Yeah. So when it comes to business expenses, I don't think a quarter goes by where I'm not blown away by the cost of something, because once you reach a certain scale, things that cost $1,000 become a rounding error. Like I remember we got a bill for some kind of stock photo service that we were using, but we didn't have the right tier of subscription for like how much of it we were using, and we didn't realize. And they sent us like a $30,000 bill. And I was like, what?
This happens with web service stuff like all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it happens all the time. And I mean, my response to people saying that LTT store stuff is really expensive is, okay, well, you go make it to that level of quality at that price. Our t-shirts are still $20. Go find me another content creator that does printed quality shirts. No Fruit of the Loom, no Gildan, no crap shirts. Printed quality shirts
with good
for
printing too.
$20. Screen printed, not direct to garment. It costs money. Sorry, not sorry. Like we don't take ridiculous margin on stuff. That's just the way it is.
We're doing one more, or are we doing topics?
Let's do one more.
Actually, yeah, let's do one more. We're ahead of time.
We're ahead of time.
Yeah, just a little bit. I got my times wrong. All right, next up's from Jacob. Linus, who is a source of personal or professional inspiration for you? Not a role model, just someone with certain traits you admire and try to emulate. Strange as it may seem, you're on my list.
Oh, well, I'm very flattered. Thank you.
Bad choice. Just kidding. No. You're going to do the like rubbing thing. No, I refuse.
Oh, man. My thing is that I don't have a lot of time. I follow very few things.
Yeah.
So I'm at risk right now of saying a name only to find out that...
This is a huge problem.
Yeah. I was at a Michael Bublé concert a little while back.
Yeah.
And he does a whole tribute to Elvis Presley and what a great person he was. And I was like, nah, that doesn't sound right.
Is that true? Yeah.
Oh.
I have no idea. I believe you.
From everything I can glean all these years later, you know, with the wonderful world of Wikipedia and, you know, memoirs, and knowing that he's, you know, deceased and not able to defend himself these days. Real creep.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah. Music innovator, certainly.
Sure. I thought he like stole that too.
Real creep.
I don't know. I know nothing about it.
Yeah,
I don't wanna get into it.
you know, there's the whole like 14-year-old girlfriend and
Oh boy,
sort of super cool stuff like that. And I don't think you can really just different time hand wave that away. So I'm kind of at risk right now.
Yeah.
But what I would like to say is maybe what I could do is I could point to a couple of role models that seem pretty okay from what I've seen. The Sedin brothers, who played for the Vancouver Canucks, not a huge organized sports fan these days, just because it's. And again, this might just be my cynicism showing through, but I just can't help but look at it as yet another business full of brands owned by billionaires who don't even treat this as their main project in a lot of cases. It's just like a silly little side vanity project for them. Like it all just kind of sucks. The way the players are treated like cattle, well-paid cattle, well-compensated cattle in a lot of cases. Sometimes not, but cattle. The whole thing just makes me really uncomfortable, but the Sedin brothers seem to be actually pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, Aborno says, you've mentioned Bill Watterson before. 100%. For all I know, he kills cats. I don't know him personally, right? Like, I don't know him. They say never meet your heroes. I'm pretty sure.
There's also a difference, like, I don't know. For me, people in this position, it doesn't mean I fanboy over them.
I'd fanboy over Bill Watterson. Yeah, they got me. They got me on that one. He seems pretty cool.
Fanboy's a pretty intense term. If you take it to like its potential
My
limits.
hands would be shaking.
Okay.
Like
But like
I'd play it cool, but like I would have to be consciously playing it cool.
Have you like studied this person's life?
No,
Their
but
works, maybe, but their life.
like I know enough about his personal life to know that he maintains a pretty quiet existence
But that's like
somewhere.
blasted everywhere if you ever look up his name.
Yeah, but I've looked up his name, so I've gone that far.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people could take this stuff pretty far, but maybe I'm applying too much to it.
Yeah, people are suggesting some pretty decent. People have got some pretty decent suggestions. Mr. Rogers actually seems to have legitimately just been a good, decent human being. Yeah. Yep. Good luck meeting Bill Watterson. He's like the Phantom. Yeah. 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even do a book tour for his upcoming graphic novel, which I have pre-ordered, even though I always say don't pre-order. All right.
2 to 3 more topics.
Yeah. All right. Hit me. I don't even know if we have 3 more topics. Oh, okay. The RTX 4070 was released. And can I say, I think we finally managed to nail a GPU review.
Yeah. I think you can.
We managed to get all the synergies lined up between the lab
like with
and
the
the
lab,
writing team.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of their data collection nailed down better. We've got a lot of our processes in terms of ingesting that data and turning it into the important beats that matter in video form, rather than just being a written article that we read out to the camera. So I think we managed to maintain the LTT soul while also authoritatively speaking based on rock solid data about what you need to know about this product. I think we did a great job of figuring out where the RTX 4070 fits in both NVIDIA's plan as well as in sort of gamers' worlds. I'm really, really happy. The next level for us is to have supplementary written articles on lttlabs.com, but we've got it in our sights. It doesn't need to happen yet. I think there's room for us to go in more depth in the right medium for that kind of additional depth. But that is what I want a GPU review video to be. What you need to know with good energy in a non-confusing way. And I'm really glad that we did manage to nail it on the RTX 4070 because there was a ton of room for us to get this one wrong. I think that we did a better job than we've done in the past of presenting both sides of the story. I think that during the GPU pricing crisis that took place during the pandemic, we were kind of, I don't know, realists about the situation. Like, the only answer is wait. And like, sorry, but
People didn't like that.
People didn't like me saying, look,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do about this. This is the way that it is. And in the context of the market as it is right now, this is a good deal. Or, I could sit and complain about this, but it's not going to do anything. People didn't like sort of that defeatist sort of attitude. But then we also can't just whine.
Yeah.
That's not constructive. It does absolutely nothing other than be fatiguing.
I understand
for
the
everyone who's near it.
but it's just, there is genuinely nothing we can really do.
So I feel like what we did better with the RTX 4070 is we empathized better. There was one video in particular, I can't remember which one it was, where we did kind of a post-mortem on it, and we went, okay, well, what did we get wrong here? Because we didn't say anything that was actually incorrect, but people didn't want to hear it. And I'm reminded of that bit in Rick and Morty where Rick says something, I don't remember what it is, and Morty basically says, no one cares if you're right because you're an asshole, right? And so we kind of looked at it and we went, this was a little too abrasive. Like we've got to take a more empathizing tone where we're delivering the bad news. The 4070, the bad news is that this is a super tepid GPU.
Yeah.
But we're finding a way to tell the good parts of the story, and that it is the best value we've seen in a long time. So if you must have a
As,
GPU
like,
today,
kind of lame as that is.
yeah, I guess you're good to go. Or you could pick up a 6800, just saying. So if you must have a GPU today, I guess it's the best deal from NVIDIA in quite some time. But we're tempering that with the reality that NVIDIA shapes the GPU market and can make something a good deal or a bad deal. Anyway, there's blah, 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 launched this week to deeply mixed reception. NVIDIA has been advertising it as a major jump. But I mean, that's only in games that support DLSS 3 frame generation. I mean, I'm calling it, I guess. I don't think that's ever going to take off in the competitive scene. I just don't think it's realistic.
Yeah.
More latency, more bad, especially if you're going to spend half of your time talking out of this side of your mouth marketing, NVIDIA Reflex. You can't spend the other half of your time talking out of this side of your mouth with, DLSS 3 beautification. As long as you're talking to two very different gamers, then I guess it's okay. But for competition, DLSS 3 is never going to matter. For experiential games, it might get pretty okay. Yeah, because without frame generation, it's closer to a 1.3x performance increase. The new graphics card is also $100 more expensive than the previous gen card was at launch, despite the fact that discrete graphics sales have been dropping for over a year and hit a 20-year low last financial quarter. Discussion question here is, what do the shrinking differences between graphics card generations mean for the future of the market? I mean...
Longer upgrade cycles?
Yeah, longer upgrade cycles, and I think a shift from game developers towards targeting a lower spec, right? Like I don't think we're ever going to see a crisis again. CRYSIS. I don't think we're ever going to ever have that moment again where a game developer goes out of their way to create a game that literally nothing on the market can run. Because why would you do that? You'd be so much better off targeting the Steamdeck.
Yeah.
You can create a pretty visually stunning game that will run on the Steamdeck and has this built-in audience of people sitting there on their handhelds going, what am I going to play on this thing now? Let's go. It's the console mentality. It's totally different, right?
I also I think that's been kind of the idea for quite a while, to be honest. Like a long time.
Yeah,
like if you look at the super popular games right now.
The word we have for it is esports titles.
Yeah.
It's targeting esports tier. So basically making sure that it can run on anything and then adding some bells and whistles that realistically nobody's going to turn on anyway because they want to compete.
Yeah. And they're all it's all like Fortnite and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not difficult at all to run. There was a friend of mine who was shopping for a laptop recently, and they were asking about like specs of dedicated GPUs. And they mentioned like, these are the games that I play. I'm like, yeah, you don't need a dedicated GPU.
Then don't upgrade.
Well, they do need a laptop, but they don't need a dedicated GPU in their laptop.
Right.
Because they don't have a laptop right now. They need a laptop in general.
Right.
But like the games that they play are like little indie titles.
Yeah, speaking of Vampire Survivors, I'm pretty sure I could run that on onboard graphics.
Yeah, so like whatever. It's like that type of stuff. And then original, like whatever it was, 1999 EverQuest. I'm like, yeah, that'll run fine. Like, whatever.
People are talking about Cyberpunk, some of the Sony ports. The difference is that Crysis wasn't just poorly optimized.
Get owned.
It was also a leap forward visually, the likes of which we saw at times. Like Half-Life 2 wasn't such a visual leap. It was more of just like it was a gameplay leap for sure. Doom from that era was, what was it, Doom 3 or whatever the one at that time was like visually really cool when you had your flashlight on. Like I'm trying to think like what was like really really mind-blowing. I mean, Far Cry blew my mind. It was the first like next gen shooter of the big three at the time, which was your Half-Life 2, your Doom 3, and your Far Cry. And no one saw it coming. It came out of nowhere. That's Crytek again. I am not that familiar with stuff that came before, though, because I wasn't really a PC gamer other than just like 2D casual games until, ATI's 9000 series, the old 9000 series, when I got a discrete GPU. Like
I played some stuff, but I wasn't purchasing hardware. So it was just like whatever the computers that my dad had could run.
Yeah,
And
Cyberpunk.
back then it was like Descent and like old school like Civ 1 and stuff like that.
You know what? Cyberpunk has that ray tracing overdrive mode
That's
I guess is that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but I don't really see that as part of the base game. The same way that just like a graphics slider at release was, like where it came out targeting hardware that didn't exist.
That's why I said that's new.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem fair.
They're more trying to keep up, but that's not a bad
I'm happy
thing.
they're doing it.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention that everyone that I currently know that plays Cyberpunk are people that also play like Star Citizen and whatever else. And you can tell like the reason why they like playing games is so they can make that GPU burn. And they want like super hyper visual realism and like all this other type of stuff, not necessarily because they're actually like enjoying the game.
Right, so they're basically a me or a Jake.
Yeah.
They like setting things up and like seeing them run.
Like Morphologists. We played
Sure.
Star Citizen with him. He posted some screenshot about like, wow, Cyberpunk's amazing because he turned on the new ray tracing thing. And I was like, yep. Not surprised. That makes sense. Yeah. New topic?
Oh, yeah, right.
New topic.
This is great. Universal Music Group, saw this on Ars Technica, demands that platforms block AI scraping of music. So they have apparently told streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify to block AI services from scraping melodies and lyrics from songs that it holds the copyright to. Bro.
That's insanely like impossibly hard to do.
Also, just utterly, well, I'm looking for a word, ineffective. Like, what's the strongest possible word for ineffective? Futile. Let's go with futile. Do you imagine, okay, that just because Spotify and Apple Music block this, that there is no other way to train these music generation AIs on your songs?
If you can play a song, there's no way to capture that sound. It's actually impossible. You definitely cannot capture the sound of something that you play through your device.
No, I mean, we'd have to invent like a diaphragm that kind of senses air, like sonic
That
air
sounds
vibrations.
far too complicated.
I mean, how could you possibly turn that vibration into a signal though?
Especially when like it's streaming, it's technically being like downloaded to your computer in a raw data state. Like, how could you get that to produce
I mean,
waves?
no, that's impossible. But back to the, hold on, I think I've got an idea. Back to the idea of the vibrating diaphragm. Maybe if you had magnets involved somehow, but then
how are you going to manufacture things this precise?
You'd need some kind of conductive material though that could carry whatever signals back to some kind of recording device. So we're back to your problem. We would need a recording device.
You might need an interface in between there as well to like properly.
Oh, it would wear out.
Yeah.
It would wear out because you'd have to have electrons flowing through it.
That's a problem.
And it would constantly fail. Like electrons are basically like they're like energy.
I don't know if physics will ever be able to
because
answer this question.
they're mass and they have a charge. They're like both sides of E equals MC squared.
Right.
They're mass and energy.
Yeah. You can't balance that equation. Anyways.
So they've been sending out a large number of takedown notices against AI-generated songs that come from AIs trained on copyrighted materials. According to a Universal Music spokesperson, we have a moral and commercial responsibility to our artists to work to prevent the unauthorized use of their music and to stop platforms from ingesting content that violates the right of artists and other creators. We expect our platform partners will want to prevent their services from being used in ways that harm artists.
Noble goal, it just doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the 6-month pause thing. It's like, yeah, I understand why you would want this.
Yep.
I understand why Universal Media Group would Universal Music Group, sorry, I applied our own naming scheme to them. I understand why they would want to do this. It's just completely irrelevant and futile, like you mentioned. It just doesn't matter. The discussion question is Universal Music correct in demanding this? Can they even stop it? Correct? Like,
Yeah, probably.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like from a legal standpoint, yeah, for sure.
They need to try to defend against these things.
Like if I was writing a video platform code, okay, and I was just like, well, why don't I just steal YouTube and Twitch and Netflix's like source code, use it to train an AI, and then have an AI write a video platform for me?
I want to start a new streaming platform.
Even if it's legal, it's pretty unethical.
Yeah. Twitch recently had this huge leak. I'll just take all their stuff.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, yeah. So even if it was legal and you couldn't prove it, it's extremely unethical. I mean, otherwise, why would we have intellectual property rights at all?
Yeah.
But can they do anything to stop music from being listened to? Imagine being Universal Music Group and that being your goal. Good luck.
Yeah.
Quite the pivot. Speaking of video streaming platforms, we should talk about this. It's a little awkward. Got the
yeah. Talk about this.
I've got a Floatplane C-suite at the table with me, and he's giving me the look. Okay, I think I'll focus on you guys. Right now,
Please explain.
the way that we are leaning, okay?
The way that we're leaning.
We have a way we're leaning.
That's a way of saying what's happening. Someone dropped their phone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming.
Okay. The writers are having their quarterly hangout sesh above us. They apparently decided not to go out this time because it's a fixed budget. So they decided not to go out anywhere. And rather than ordering restaurant food, they all went to the grocery store so that they would have way more like snackies and drinks. And they're hanging out at the office where there's no cost. It's like, yeah, I gotta respect it.
Give a bunch of engineers a task. Let's be efficient.
Yeah. So anywho, the way that we're leaning, hard leaning, strong leaning, is that exclusive content will come to YouTube memberships.
Floatplane exclusive content.
That's what we've called it up until now. Yes, FPX. Now,
I still like my pitch for how to do the naming with this, but yeah.
Oh, naming?
Yeah, you didn't see that bit?
Oh, no.
I was saying, I mean, I want to explain more before I do this, but I was saying we should still call it Floatplane exclusives. And then on YouTube, they should be like, what's the proper naming for that these days?
Member.
No. Like,
well, that's what it's called.
Like illicit market exclusives.
Oh, like dark web, like black market, like.
I don't think that's I genuinely think that term is like not a thing anymore.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I don't know what replaced it. Genuinely, I don't know. But I think the term isn't a thing anymore. But like that, whatever the new term is.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that would be bootleg. I don't know.
Anyway.
Whatever.
So the reasoning for it is that it's been clear to us for a long time that there's a certain subset of users that are simply not willing to engage off-platform. Take, for example, of course, it's not there in the tab anymore, but I saw someone send a super chat earlier. Okay, they did. It was there. Trust me, bro. And they must know by this point that we don't respond to them, but just their chosen way of engaging with us is through the YouTube platform. It's very low friction. Realistically, they've already given Google their credit card number. They don't have to sign up for a third-party service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so for us to not, especially since we have memberships activated on our channel, for us to not be engaging with those people is a really bad business decision. With that said, there are certain benefits that we're simply not going to be able to provide on the YouTube platform. And there are costs that are higher on the YouTube platform than they are on the Floatplane platform, where our costs are fixed in a sense, as opposed to scaling directly with our revenue. So the way that we are leaning, the way that I think it's going to work going forward is YouTube members will get all the same content, all the same exclusive and behind the scenes and extra cutting room floor content that Floatplane members get, but there will be a surcharge to compensate for the YouTube cut since it's like not our platform and there's really nothing in it for us to just take less for some reason because you want to give your credit card to Google and not to us or whatever. So there will be a surcharge and there won't be a $5 tier. So the $10 4K tier on Floatplane that gets you access to everything is $10 and is $100 if you buy it for the year. And on YouTube, it'll be $12. And it also won't include the WAN pre-show VOD. So Floatplane gets our sort of test streaming before the show. That does not go anywhere else. That will still not go to YouTube because there would be no way for us to control if it went to members only or if it went to everyone once we make the video either public or members only. It would just be the entire video. It doesn't include any quality improvements. People on Floatplane often talk about, particularly the audio on WAN Show, how much better it is on Floatplane compared to on YouTube. There's no way for us to do that. YouTube is as YouTube does. There's no way for us, as far as I can tell. If we can figure out a way to do a yearly discount, we will. But as far as I can tell, there's no way to do a yearly discount. So the point really is going to be to funnel people over to Floatplane where it's better. But this way, at least there's a way for people to engage on YouTube.
To you is just like, you're just like, no, I only use YouTube or whatever, then you have an option to get our content.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. And I get it. It's like people who shop on Amazon because it's just, they have Prime and it's convenient. And they only have to go one place. Like, man, ever since I told you that, one of my resolutions was I'm not going to stop shopping on Amazon outright like you.
But you'll just like
it's
try.
Admirable. But my whole thing now is I do a Google search first and I click on at least 2 websites. And if it's close to the same price, like I'll pay up to like $5-10 more. If it's close to the same price, I buy it somewhere else. But not if Amazon's position in the world is anything to go by, which it is, most people won't do that.
One of the frustrating things for me is when there is literally no other option. When it's like a company, they like make the best. This is not super common, but it happens. They make like the best thing in their space, and it's priced decently well and all that kind of stuff. Like it's clearly the best option for this widget that you need to buy for whatever reason. But that company only operates through Amazon. It's like. That sucks.
Okay. Sorry, Floatplane chat. I haven't been meaning to ignore you. Rod asks, do you have a lot of memberships on YouTube? Understand if you can't answer. We actually have about 600 YouTube members. And the only benefit that we've really offered to them as other than thanks for supporting the channel. So like shout out, like thank you so much guys, is merch discounts that I actually talked to Nick about recently. I just don't think are very good. So we're gonna work on what we can do for.
We should make sure that
parity, yes,
for
both Floatplane $10 tier and YouTube members, which are going to be the equivalent tiers.
Yeah, because YouTube members won't have a reduced cost tier. They don't have like a $5 tier or anything like that. Yeah.
Or the OG $3 tier, nothing like that. So one of the things that we're going to do is make sure that if we do some kind of discount program, then that will actually make sense. Or whether it's, exclusive merch or whatever else the case may be. The thing with exclusive merch, guys, is it's like a lot of work to make something good. If all we were doing was just putting a logo on a mug or whatever, then yeah, sure, fine. We'll do an exclusive one with Floatplane logo, blah, 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 blah. But as it is, when we put a ton of work into it, it's kind of painful to not do a broad release of something. Yeah. Like I'd love to do a Floatplane exclusive, like super cool, like bomber jacket, or like whatever. Like, we are not doing that because we'd lose so much money. It would make no sense.
Yep.
Okay, let me just see if there's any other stuff here. Does Apple Pay break merch messages? Someone says mine didn't go through. It's possible we just haven't gotten to it yet. Poor Dan, his fingers are on fire trying to reply to them. We actually need to talk about merch messages too, guys. Merch messages are part of the reason that the show has been drawn out to untenable lengths. It's not that we don't want to talk to you guys. It's just that we feel kind of obligated, especially when you give us such great discussion topics or you ask us, really cool and important questions. We feel really obligated to address them and not just, hey, cool merch message, but like address them in a meaningful manner. But there's a lot of cases where Luke and I can't address every good merge message anymore. It's just gotten unmanageable. And Dan often doesn't know the question. So we've been talking internally about what a workflow would look like where Dan has an additional stream that he can send things through. So right now he can just push it out to the lower third. Okay. So it's like, hi mom, or whatever else, it just goes. Joshua H didn't leave a message. So it's just like Joshua H bought an RGB diode t-shirt. Cool. For $20. Then the next one is Dan can reply via text. So you'll see, someone's question, kind of like that. And then there'll be a follow-up one that has an answer of some sort. Let's see what Dan said. Can't wait for LTX, driving up from Oregon State University. Do you plan on discontinuing? The goal is to create as many skills. Okay, that's not accurate, Dan.
I don't think I said that.
Oh, well, who replied to that?
I don't know.
Was it you? It wasn't me.
No, it could be someone else in the dashboard.
Oh.
Not as in like an intruder, but it could be somebody else in the dashboard.
I've been doing something a little bit different this week. I've been leaving a lot of them for you guys to maybe respond to via text, because I haven't been able to give like a reasonable response to a lot of them.
So who wrote sunglasses for things confiscated by TSA?
I didn't respond to that one.
I didn't.
Somebody else is in here responding to these.
Who's going?
Who is replying to merge messages right now?
It's probably Conrad.
I would assume so. Because I have 85 in the queue right now.
Okay.
And I've been going through and removing the ones that are kind of maybe not question related, but a lot of these I think you guys could respond to via text.
The second path is a text response, kind of like what we're showing you. And the third path is that it goes into a queue for me and Luke to discuss. What I think we should do is create a fourth path that will essentially create a customer support ticket, and we will get back to people next week. We already have a customer support team that's like half a dozen people at this point. They're not always crazy busy. So is there any reason why, if your message is something like, hey, when are you guys going to do a Floatplane exclusive t-shirt or whatever, there's no real reason for that to not go to the customer support team where they can do something meaningful with it, like compile the most common requests for new items or whatever else, and then relay that to the appropriate people here in the organization. Because even for me, I can't answer every question that you guys ask. Are there plans for an LTT wrist rest? I'm using the indoor hoodie. Wait, as a wrist rest?
That's interesting.
Okay. Okay, so that is an answer. That is correct. We do not have plans for a wrist rest, but I don't know who's replying, and I don't know how they know that or if they know that for sure.
The spaghetti made of meat was me.
Okay.
From the previous one.
Interesting. I saw one about what's the weirdest thing you had confiscated by TSA.
I remember leaving that one, yeah.
My little tiny Kanifa. Hold on.
It was Conrad. He's very good natured. He can see that there is a massive queue and is just trying to help.
I see. Okay, if Conrad is 100% confident, and
I've already messaged that to him.
Okay, please sign it so that we're not sitting here going mystery. Who is replying to merge messages?
A dash with your initials. Ones that aren't initialed are Dan. Mm-hmm. And then everything else, like when I respond to them, I do LL at the end.
Yeah, I put my initials. I had one of these confiscated actually not that long ago.
That makes sense, but is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like no more dangerous than a sharp car key.
Yeah,
realistically.
Yeah,
like you could knives are scary.
Oh yeah,
like you could hurt someone very badly with this knife.
But that's also clearly a tool.
But that's also true of a sharpened car key
or a massive variety of other things.
Yeah.
So
I was pretty bummed because it's a Spyderco. It's not a lot of metal, but it's for how small it is, it's not that cheap. And I'm really dumb because the last time I lost it, I actually had Vance order me a new one because I was just like, this seems like the kind of thing that an assistant might do. I lost my knife. Can you please get me a new one? And I gave him the wrong model name. Oh. So I bought two knives. I bought a ladybug and a bug. Derp.
Oh, man.
I don't blame Vance at all. I didn't show him the one I lost. I just asked for a ladybug, and I don't have a ladybug. I have a bug. Cool. Does anyone object to that whole turning on YouTube memberships thing? Because
I was watching Floatplane chat. I think for the most part, people get it. The one thing that did come up was just basically making sure there was at a very minimum parity. So like YouTube shouldn't get something that
Floatplane will be
Floatplane
better.
doesn't. Yeah.
It's not going to be trade-offs. We're going to be very upfront that Floatplane is better, and if you want the best possible engagement with Linus Media Group and everything that we do, that's on Floatplane. Because like there's certain things that we're just not going to be able to curate on YouTube. Like the community on Floatplane is just super cool. I really love it.
Yeah.
They want a poll. That makes sense. Yeah, we should
Polls have been acting a little weird, but I will throw one up. We'll see how it goes.
We'll give it a shot. All right, guys. But overall, it seems like the perception is pretty good.
You think, are you cool with the YouTube thing? Is fair enough?
Oh, people are asking, what about shorts? So we are looking at, I actually talked to the social team about this recently. What we're trying to do is use text and picture posts to put, I don't think we're going to do this until we've got the channels thing fully launched, not beta anymore. But once we do, I think we're going to add a social channel and maybe a shorts channel. And then you can subscribe to those ones for notifications if you want. But otherwise, we're going to turn off, can we turn off notifications by default?
So I don't know if we can do it for specific levels, but probably.
Not for specific levels, just for specific channels.
No, that's okay. So that's what I meant.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, people can always turn off the notifications. That's going to be a lot.
It will be too much.
Yeah, like if every stupid
tweet this is why we haven't done it
people.
yet, is basically on the beta site for Floatplane right now, there's this new sub-channels feature. So there's like Linus Media Group, which still needs to be renamed, so it's just Linus Tech Tips right now. And then all of the YouTube channels, we want to add a section for WAN, we want to add a section for shorts, all these other types of things. But if we start adding in all of the shorts and social posts, your phone is just never going to stop. There are multiple people at the company that it is their whole job to effectively make it so that in this scenario, your phone would never stop.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, we don't actually necessarily want that to happen unless you're just like, yeah, give me everything. So that'll be an option.
Yeah. But we need to not do that to
You need
people.
to be able to turn off notifications for channels that you might not be interested in. Maybe you're just interested in like MAC address and tech news. Well, you should be able to just turn those on and turn everything else off. Or maybe you're interested in the opposite of that. Then you should be able to turn those ones off and everything else on, et cetera, et cetera. The poll's coming.
Michael W., you should check out OpenSense, OPN Sense, and also do that. It's a fork of pfSense that gets updated more frequently. All right. Want to hit us, Dan? Oh, wait, we're supposed to do more topics? Are there more topics?
Have you run out of topics?
I don't know. There's New York, new safety standards for lithium batteries after some fires. That seems like pretty good. E-bikes, scooters, lithium-ion batteries have to have third-party certification for UL fire safety standards. Oh, that kind of makes sense. You can't just have these like randoms certifying themselves. Cool.
You still have 15 minutes before I'm going to turn out the lights on you, so...
Okay, why don't we talk about Tesla employees sharing private recordings of users and bystanders, including children? We touched on this before, but Tesla is now facing a class action suit following an allegation by multiple former employees that it was common practice for Tesla employees to internally share sensitive videos and images of customers, often for the purpose of mockery. Some made memes out of the images and shared them through the internal messaging system, and sometimes the sharing was between individuals, other times between small groups, but at times the groups contained scores of employees. Shared images included car accidents, embarrassing personal moments, nudity, and customer pets and children.
Oh, yeah, because like there's internal cameras, right? Mm-hmm. People do things in cars.
I mean, I never have.
But
and I've definitely never been talked to by the police about it.
So yeah, if you had one, I thought you were. If you had one of these, there could be a video of that, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe someone's like, "Oh, I recognize this guy," and shares it internally. Like, you don't want that to happen.
Floatplane exclusive.
One particularly popular 2021 video showed a driver hitting a child on a bike at significant speed, hard enough the child went flying. Another showed a person being dragged into a car, apparently against their will.
Ooh.
According to Tesla, its recordings are anonymous and not linked to the user or their vehicle. However, several former employees claim that the recordings are linked to location data, which could reveal where a user lives, obviously. It's unclear how widespread it was, but it's well known enough that several managers pushed back on image sharing on general communication challenges as a violation of the company privacy policy. In some offices, these memes were seen as a way of earning social approval that might lead to a promotion, as people in leadership roles were apparently particularly prolific at sharing these images. Well, I can't think of anyone in Tesla leadership who's like a memer and doesn't have a lot of regard for just,
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. That doesn't really check out.
Yeah, because like there is a certain amount of like there's things that can be pretty hard to detect. If you're a company that deals with like customer data, if 2 employees in direct messages that you can't monitor are memeing about it, it might be pretty hard to detect, genuinely. But like this doesn't sound like that. It sounds very widespread.
Several employees reported feeling paranoid while driving the company cars, knowing how much information was available on the other end and how it could be used.
Wow.
Discussion question: how does this kind of culture grow within a company? I don't know. How do I put this in a way that is empathetic, but also based in reality? People are jerkwads.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but enough of them. Anonymity and or a perception that your actions are free from consequences definitely breeds a certain kind of behavior in people.
There's also a pretty intense amount of like, if they were on the other end of this, they might feel really negative about it. But like, oh, I'm doing it, so like, I am good. Most people believe themselves as good aligned. So like, this is fine. I'm just making a joke. This isn't actually harming anyone, whatever, right? They don't know. It can't hurt them, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
New topic. I'm kind of done with it, to be honest.
Not very cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Intel teams up with ARM. Intel and ARM have announced a multi-generation agreement to optimize Intel's 18A fabrication process for ARM-based chip designs. Intel Foundry Services would not necessarily be producing chips directly for ARM, but they would be in a position to more effectively fulfill orders from ARM licensees like Qualcomm and MediaTek. Intel described the collaboration as a way of enabling a more balanced global supply chain for foundry customers working in mobile SoC design on ARM-based CPU cores, which is another way of saying that if China actually really does it this time and invades Taiwan, you guys are going to need some way to produce chips, because I don't think China is going to be super cool about shipping chips to the West after the couple of years that they've had over there. Intel has described plans to produce hybrid chips that combine x86, ARM, and RISC-V CPU cores in the past. We don't know if this is necessarily related to that, but that could be kind of cool. And at the same time, Intel has announced that they are selling off their server division to exiting the server system business. I actually didn't know they still did first-party servers. And it doesn't surprise me that they're bailing, because it's a relatively low-margin business. I mean, most of the money in that server made by Supermicro or Dell or whatever is going to 3 places: Intel, NVIDIA, or software.
Yeah. I had the same reaction when I read this, and I think some people misinterpreted this as like Intel is exiting the server space entirely, not them like making their own servers, because I think people didn't even realize that they did that. So they like misinterpreted the title. Because when I read it, I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't think they did that either. I hadn't heard of those in a hot minute.
And that's it, Dan. I think it's time for WAN Show After Dark.
Pew. Except he has to go over there to do it, so it's not going to be that pewy.
Oh.
Haven't automated it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to automate it though. Oh my goodness, we could totally see you walking across. You've become immersed in the LMG way. I think Dan, when he started, would have insisted on not walking in front of the camera.
I was so retentive of that.
In another 6 months, yeah, exactly. Okay, it didn't take 6 months. Fine, that's how it's going to be.
Dark enough for you?
All right, hit us.
Let me sit down first, man. Okay. This is from Jesse. Hey, Luke. Terrifying to think we are living through a progress in AI that will form the foundation of our future utopia or annihilation.
How did I know the whole content of the statement when it started with terrifying?
Yes. Any idea how you would explain AI to children or young teens?
Oh.
A different direction than I was expecting to.
The way I've done that so far is to just describe it as a computer assistant. An advanced computer assistant that you can control by talking to it. And honestly, they tend to get it pretty fast. I think this is, again, one of those things where, like, we're the old people now, so we're probably adjusting to it worse than the kids are. I've talked to some, like, startup teams about it, and I've seen this idea pushed around by other people as well. I don't know if I said it first or not, so I can't say if I stole it. But like looking at how the youngins use these tools is probably going to be a very interesting thing to do, because a lot of us, like a lot of what I'm getting out of it is like, I'm excited for Copilot to come to Office. That announcement was insane. That blew my mind. When Copilot comes to Office, I'm going to immediately be getting different teams around this office to start using it for beneficial things. There's a lot of different ways that people could be more efficient with Copilot directly built into Office. That's how like old boomer me is interpreting it. But how are the kids going to use it, right? That's an interesting question. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any young people, and I've talked to a couple people that are like younger than 14. I don't know exactly how old they are about it. They tend to get it pretty quick. It doesn't actually seem super complicated to them, which I find interesting. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's going to get scary. Hey, Linus, which one of your cats would you say is your absolute favorite?
Oof.
Ooh, it's gotta be my Dashie. Yeah, Dash. She's the one we've had the longest. She's the one that likes me the most, or is like bonded to me the most. People who think cats don't have relationships with people, like they just see them as a food source, have just obviously like never had a cat or like never cared for a cat, because they expect reciprocation. Their love is not unconditional. So the way that she'll follow me around and want snuggles and want to hang out is really sweet. She doesn't always want to be held or anything like that, but she is almost always orbiting the family. If everyone's upstairs, Dash is upstairs. If everyone's in the basement, she might be chilling like over there on a chair, but she likes to be near everybody. She's super social, and she's just such a sweetheart. There's more than one of the contractors who worked on our renovation over the last couple of years. More than one of them messaged me just like pictures of Dash, completely unsolicited, just being hilarious or being a sweetheart. And more than one Linus Media Group employee who was at my house for some reason or another, unsolicited, messaged me a picture of Dash just being a sweetheart or being hilarious. She's just a great cat.
Okay, this one might be for Luke as well. It's from Chris. Luke and Linus, with companies now getting their own LLMs, it's hard to say. What are your thoughts on companies or governments being able to create an actually effective AI-powered lie detector?
I don't...
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know if any test can be defeated by a suitably armed test taker.
Also,
like, I just don't know if I buy that.
Using a thing that notoriously lies all the time as a lie detector is kind of hilarious, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one.
Yeah,
easy. This is from Aaron. Recently purchased a Gigabyte 4080 Aero OC. The HDMI 2.1 connection is last in priority, making a multi-monitor setup impossible to show bias on the HDMI if a DisplayPort is connected. Why?
Oh, this is a rough one. I can answer your question. It's because DisplayPort 99 times out of 100 is going to be the primary display for a GPU, unless you are only connected via HDMI. So that's That's why that's the default behavior. As for why multi-monitor management isn't better in this day and age, I don't rightly know. Obviously, this is a pretty niche use case, mine. But I was furious recently. Like, just furious recently because I was trying to do something that felt very simple. What I wanted was to manually assign each of my displays. So my computer sits in the mechanical room, and it runs my desktop display upstairs. It runs the system, like another display over in the LAN room with my kids' machines so that we can play Minecraft Dungeons or whatever. And I also wanted to play in the theater room. And I have optical cables going everywhere. It's like it all works. I can do that. What I wanted was to manually assign the display priority. So the number, you know how in Windows, this is display 1, this is 2, this is 3.
When you click identify, it shows the number in the corner.
And there are certain things that I forget. I don't even remember exactly why it mattered. But there are certain things that are easier to do if a particular display is display number 1.
Interesting. Not just primary. It has to be display 1.
That's right.
I thought it was primary. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you set a display as your primary display, that doesn't make it display number 1.
No, it definitely doesn't.
That just makes it your primary display for all intents and purposes. So it was that, I think what I wanted to do was I wanted to have it duplicated and then only go to 1, and then I wanted to be able to I wanted to make sure that one upstairs was always the first one and the theater room was always the third one. And there was some reason I wanted to do that. I'm sorry, I don't remember anymore. And what I discovered is that there are some weird hacky workarounds. If you do a fresh install and you plug in the first one first, that should make it the first one.
Okay.
There are also registry keys that maybe you can whatever. Some people have had some success with moving the displays around on different ports, but most people reported that didn't work. But there is no hard and fast way for you to just tell Windows, actually off, this is display 1. This is my primary display. And this has been a problem. I remember at NCIX, I had 4 monitors. And what I did at that time is I got frustrated at some point and I just physically moved them. Because every time a display driver reset happened or whatever, I didn't want them mixed up. I didn't want to deal with that. I just wanted them to be detected correctly. You cannot do that.
That's pretty frustrating.
It is infuriating. And obviously, there's people helpfully reply to users saying, "Well, in Linux you can do this." Like that's nice, but I'm not running Linux. Thank you. Yeah. So if anyone from Microsoft is watching, please just let me assign my display priority. That would be great. Thank you. I really wish I remembered why it was so infuriating. I was trying to do something. Like I wanted all 3 of them running, and then when one would kick in, it would boot off the other one. I don't know. I can't remember anymore. Sorry. Okay, Dan.
Okay, this is from Ian. Linus, with AI having the ability to be trained on anything, do you believe at some point we will see an AI antivirus or the need for an anti-AI virus to stop AI actions? AI versus anti-AI AI.
Totally already a thing. Yeah, machine learning enabled anti-malware will look for certain patterns of behavior in programs and it will flag them even if they aren't a known threat.
Yep.
Okay, got another one here. The year is 2073. Grandpa Linus steps in front of the camera one last time to record his final Linus Tech Tips video before finally retiring. What would said video be about?
You retired pretty old.
Yeah, wow, I made it really far. No, I'm pretty sure that this job would kill me long before then. What would it be? I mean, I think it would just be a big, thank you to everyone. Okay, if it has to be about an actual product, I'd kind of love for it to be some like kind of grand project, like a whole room water cooling or like a Scrapyard Wars. But I think more realistically, it would probably be a troll. Like it'd probably be a fake review of a product that's not real, but we like did some movie magic and made it seem real or something. Like I could see going out with like a mystery. How did he have that? How did he get that working? I could see just like being a complete memer about it. Would I still have a sense of humor when I'm that old? I hope so.
I think you'll still be a troll.
Just improves with age. Okay, next up's from Mason. Hello, Dan and the talent. Thank you. I feel so vindicated.
What about Luke?
Oh, wow. Hey, got him. Good one, yeah. I collect CRTs. I have 12 now and cannot explain how I justify keeping all of them. Is there any now antiquated technology that you don't think you could ever get rid of?
Man, these are like really tough questions. Antiquated technology I don't think I could get rid of. I mean, watch seems pretty superfluous these days, but I don't know. I kind of just like wearing them. This doesn't even have the right time on it. This is that Pebble Pebble time that Shank Mods gave me. I'm wearing it so that I remember to figure out Rebel. It's like this weird side load old Pebble apps something thing. Apparently you could like still get these things working. I just haven't gotten around to it. I dedicated about 3 minutes to it and was like, oh, okay, this is more than a 3-minute project. And then I gave up temporarily. So this is to like remind me to do it. Antiquated tech that you can't bring yourself to get rid of. I mean, Luke doesn't buy anything, so he doesn't have anything.
There's some retro console stuff that
okay.
I'd have a hard time getting rid of.
You could if you needed to, though, just emulate.
But I absolutely could and have seriously thought about it and just don't have to right now, which is the only reason why I haven't. But like, if I needed money, I would flip my retro consoles immediately. That'd be the first thing to go. I don't know. So yeah, not really. I don't know.
Next up, WAN show with guests as the olden days. When?
Guests take a long time. I love bringing guests on, but how do I say this tactfully? Generally speaking, the guest segments don't perform as well as when it's just me and Luke and I guess that guy. So there's no audience drive to make that happen, so speaking broadly. And it makes the show take even longer, which is already a problem we have. So we're not solving any problems, and we're creating new ones.
It's a good thing to have in the back pocket for when it like totally makes sense, by either us very specifically wanting to add promotion to a thing or a person for a very specific reason, or because like we need help with a topic. If there's like, hey, you did this thing, we want to talk to you about it. Maybe, but also maybe not. Because it might be better to just talk to you about it offline and then cover the notes.
Okay, got another one here. Would you ever make a hand warmer for typing? My hands freeze in office, and a small heated desk pad or infrared heater would be amazing. Also, any logistics tips for a prospective badminton gym owner?
Don't do it. It's not a profitable business. I'm only getting into it because I intend to lose money. Oh, mind you, real estate might not be as expensive where you are. Okay, good luck. In that case, here it's super dumb. As for the hand warmer,
that's the opposite direction that I'm used to hearing that go. I'm used to people getting like little fans and stuff, not warmer.
You're a warm boy though. Like I guarantee you, Yvonne would benefit from like a desktop hand warmer. I'd be afraid to ship anything that's designed to generate heat.
Yeah,
I'd just be worried about liability
and like melting stuff.
Yeah. Like someone touching it and burning themselves or something.
The general move is to put a cage in front of it that limits.
Yeah, but now this is becoming very cumbersome. So you've got a heating element, wiring, you've got a cage. I don't know. Okay.
I think you could do a wrist rest, actually, by using that same like wire that they use in heating blankets.
Yeah. Yeah, the wrist rest could be doable.
There's definitely options. You could do gloves as well, but like I hate wearing gloves when I'm typing or using a mouse.
That's
Like gamer
tough.
gloves were a thing for a very small period of time.
I think we even bought a bunch of gamer gloves with the intention of doing a roundup. What the heck happened to that? Dang it.
I don't know.
Man, but the number of videos that were like, oh yeah, we should totally do that, and just never do. It's wild.
Yeah. One of the problems is like power delivery. If it's gloves or something like that, that gets weird.
I mean, people wear giant helmets, so like, yeah, you never know what nerds will wear.
What? Wait, giant? You mean VR?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what is this reference?
No, I mean Daft Punk.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah.
No promises.
What's the progress update on the Stubby screwdriver? Is something different compared to the full-size screwdriver in development? I would really love to hear more about it since we saw it last.
It's just small, and it's still mostly on track, it looks like, for LTX launch.
Exciting. I'm excited. To Linus and Luke, but mostly Luke, another AI question. What are your thoughts on Chat GPT 4 being used for sports betting, stock trading, and crypto trading or prediction? Love the show. Shout out from South Louisiana. I think the A got cut off.
We all knew it was going to happen. We kind of talked about it earlier in the show. Use at your own risk. I don't know what to tell you. I don't give financial advice. Sounds scary, though. Using a language predictor to predict the results of
A horse race? Like, really? I mean, the horses have names in language.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take the
I
next
think
one.
just deciding that it is a catch-all solution for all AI or ML tasks is a little weird. But yeah, use at your own risk. I don't know.
Okay. As a new subscriber, I have a question regarding Floatplane. Have the goals for the platform changed since the initial inception? And what are the goals for Floatplane currently?
The core goal has never changed. The core goal is based around the name.
Yeah.
The name Floatplane was spawned from Nick Light, and it comes from the it might not take off, but it'll never sink kind of idea. That core concept applies to how we do like development and technological choices for the platform. So it makes things a lot harder. It makes things a lot more complicated, to be honest, because there's much easier ways of doing things. But when we build something, we always build it so that it's like it can run on any platform. It can run with any service. So like we might use some service for some specific thing, but I can guarantee you that is portable to something else with little effort for like everything that we do. And it would be easier because the industry is absolutely built for buy-in. A lot of these big companies want you to, I don't remember what it's called. Normally I would be able to remember, but I don't remember right now. There's a term for it. Is it just lock-in? There's a term for it when you start working with one company, and then by working with them more and more and more and more, it would become extremely painful for you to switch to another company because all your stuff is built specifically for their platform.
CRMs are brutal for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Tons of different things are brutal for that. They want that. And even if it's not sunk cost, no, vendor lock. Yeah, vendor lock. Even if they advertise like, oh, it's not like that, usually the path of least resistance is to do that anyways. So we often go down the path of definitely not least resistance, which is rough, but I mean, we're still here. We're still floating. We're still okay. And that's
still kicking.
kind of the main goal. There's obviously other goals in regards to like features and whatever else, but those are like the things that we do to make the platform worth using for people. But the main goal is to make sure that the platform will always be here. What's up? He's on it.
I got it. I'm doing it now.
We didn't announce the new product we launched on the store.
What did we launch?
Oh yeah.
New desk pad.
Hey,
Looks sick.
it does actually.
What the heck just
Oh.
happened?
Poof.
Boop.
We're back.
New desk pad.
I like the
It's-
design.
It's sick. It's actually inspired by the sign in the lounge.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a Janus design if you really think about
Hey,
it.
Yeah.
I think that the one who actually brought it to life here was Lloyd, and there might have been some collaboration from Sarah or another designer, because it started on a wall and had to make its way into a design for a mouse pad, and B, a whole bunch of different sizes, because this is yet another one of our $29.99, no matter what size you choose.
Oh my goodness.
Products.
The amount of SKUs.
But yeah, it's a less stealthy but still pretty darn stealthy design. We did brand this one, so it has a big fat LTT in the middle for your convenience, right where your keyboard will be. We wanted the keyboard to feel like the center of this design, so you can see that even though the logo is dead center, the way that the line work comes in,
that's actually pretty cool. I
really
like
works well with the keyboard being the kind of origin of all of the traces here in the circuit.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, so it's a super. It's the little thoughtful stuff like that that does happen. These conversations do take place as part of the product development process, but it's not often easy to communicate to you all. Yeah, same great 3.5 millimeter base, same great anti-fray stitching around the edge, same great top surface weave. I know you guys will love it because our desk pad has been a modest success, to say the least. Like, what?
That's a lot of reviews.
These are not.
That is 5 stars.
These are not curated. These are not filtered. These are just people flipping, love this thing. I pretty much promise you that most of this stuff is just people who never got their order.
Shipping complications.
And messaged support, and we took a long time to get back to them, and then they just never updated their review. But we do get back to everyone. It just does take some time sometimes, and there's nothing we can do about that stuff. We don't remove it. We leave it there. That's on us. We gotta do better. But we can't prevent couriers from taking a long time sometimes. Shipments get lost. Stuff happens. What we can do is reply to people in a timely manner, and I've seen really good feedback about our customer service lately. In fact, we managed to blow up on the subreddit for doing something good for a change, which was really nice recently. We reached out proactively about the thing with the tech stack, where the image on the site didn't match what people actually got. So what we decided to do, even though it's a functionally equivalent product and it's better actually, we offered everyone a $10 credit for, just being chill. Or if they didn't like that, then we offered just a full refund and return. We'll take it back, no problem. So people were pretty happy with that.
Cool.
It's the kind of thing that we would do even if we didn't have to, because we don't have to, but we do it anyway because trust me, bro, I got you.
Another message?
Hit me.
Okay. Hey, LLD. Most companies focus around how to automate tasks. Are there functions in work or lifestyle that you all will purposely take the harder or more expensive route to preserve human skill and jobs?
Uh-oh. I was typing response and didn't hear the whole thing.
With automation becoming... Most people would prioritize automation. Are there areas where you would do it the hard way on purpose in order to preserve human skill and jobs?
I think there's a lot of examples. Oh, and jobs?
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot of
so.
examples of areas where people do it the hard way on purpose because people value the effort and skill and craftsmanship involved.
I don't think the art was the point. I think productivity was the point here. And if that's the case, honestly, for me, not really.
I don't think that's true for almost anyone. That's not how people work.
Well, that's how, as a society, we kind of create our rules, though. The number of times that we'll regulate something in order to preserve jobs, it's wild to me. Imagine if we hold on. Okay, sure. Here's an example. Did you know that in Richmond, gas stations have to be full service in order to preserve gas pumping jobs.
I think that's okay. So that is something that I've heard of before. I think that is usually laughed at and is uncommon, but does happen.
Chat,
Roughly sort of speckled all over the place.
Chat, feel free to. Okay, apparently there's a couple of states that have that exact same.
Yeah, no, it's speckled all over the place. I meant that genuinely. I know it happens in a couple states. I know it happens in a few spots around Canada, but it's definitely uncommon.
I mean,
it is not the norm. I should say it that way.
The way that the car dealership industry has been preserved in general.
That's just wild. That's lobbying.
Yeah, but preserve our jobs. Lobbying is pretty much job preservation if you really boil it down.
I think. Oh, wow. I don't agree with that in the slightest.
I mean, okay.
It's economic abuse to a huge degree.
Well, okay, okay. I didn't say it wasn't abuse.
You specifically said it is this if you boil it down.
Yeah. It's self-interested job preservation then. How about that?
I don't know if it's saying if someone's like, I want to make 40 million this year instead of 29 million this year. I don't know if saying that is job preservation. I don't know if that's fair. I don't think the average interest of lobbying is like, I want to make sure I can protect my huge swath of employees.
Well, right, but unless you can keep your industry going strong, which, okay, I see where you're going with this.
I think it's usually
masquerades as job preservation then. I mean, that's the argument that they'll make often.
Sure. They just lie a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
So profit preservation says Floatplane chat. Sure.
Profit preservation for a very small amount of people that are extremely beyond like delta above survival.
Well, okay. I mean, it also does impact other people down the chain. Sure. Like it's
not necessarily positively. If your boss makes, like, to use the example I just made, if your boss makes 40 million instead of 29 million, there is zero guarantee that that benefits you in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, but your boss won't make any million if your industry is, if your industry goes the way of the ice harvesting industry. Then the ice harvesting boss.
I don't think all lobbying is that type of preservation, though.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm open to an example.
I don't pay that much attention to lobbying. A significant amount of it is being able to keep profits high by not following different ethical standards, whatever. That isn't necessarily resisting your entire industry from disappearing. That's keeping profits high.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I'm thinking like, okay, another great example of lobbying, keeping your industry from disappearing would be something like QuickBooks, like personal tax software. Like that's a really interesting rabbit hole.
There's some really intense lobbying.
If not for lobbying, that industry simply wouldn't need to exist.
It shouldn't.
And everyone who works in it, from all the way to the top, all the way down to the bottom,
could
the bottom,
do something better for the world.
would just be gone. And could do something more useful. So
let's all hope they die faster than they currently are.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. Floatplane chat. Cold take. Lobbying. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I am sure there is examples of good lobbying.
I never said it was good, to be very clear. Yeah. Like
I'm sure there is good examples of it, though. It's just a system that is clearly, vast majority of the time, abused for hyper bad negative things.
No disagreement there.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Right.
What?
Oh yeah. Is there anything that we would do the like inefficient way on purpose?
Would you do the hard way just to preserve the art of it? Almost
nothing. I mean, I guess I do some stuff the hard way. Like I don't know.
Well, no. Okay, you just said to preserve the art.
Yeah, but it's not the art. It's for practical purposes. I don't think I would ever not use a dolly just so that I could like work out my arms more.
Yeah.
Well, no, because then there's like a health benefit.
Okay,
I would do that. I would take the stairs.
There are examples though that fit this.
Yeah, not if efficiency was a factor. There. Okay.
All right, let's get you another one here. Linus, YouTube suggested a WAN show from 2013 where you wore a seemingly authentic CAD Pat parka. issued in the Canadian Armed Forces. Wondering how you got one and if you kept it, allegedly.
Isn't it gone?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's one of those things where it's like the that stupid Apple @Mark Pippin console.
Yeah, where the heck is that?
I don't know. It is gone. It's just, it disappeared. That jacket disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it. My mom gave it to me. It was a gift.
That jacket kept a actually very high number of people warm.
Yeah, it was a helpful jacket. It was super warm.
When we were in like hyper startup mode working out of his garage, we didn't necessarily have a lot of heating. And in winter months, that jacket would be like passed around because it was really warm. Oh, man.
Okay, last one I've got here, curated. Why hasn't AMD released any new GPUs since the 7900 series in December? Why hold off releasing the mid-range cards? Leaks seem to say next launch is June when NVIDIA's 4070 is out now. 4060 is coming in May.
Because it's really, really hard. Just because the architecture is, done and out there and on the market doesn't mean that those mid-tier chips are fully bug tested, right? Like, modern microprocessors, again, back to that hot take earlier that consumer PC hardware is cheap. They're a miracle. They are actually an engineering marvel. They're magic. Basically, right? The fact that the 7900 series exists at all amazes me. Never mind, where's the 7800 and where's the 7700? And I know, obviously, we want less expensive cards, right? Like, yeah, we want the latest architecture. But it's hard work. It's hard, grueling, difficult, time-consuming work. And, a company like AMD has a lot going on. They can't just focus on their discrete desktop GPUs. They've also got their scientific and data center GPUs. They've got the GPU products that are built into their CPUs now, which are no longer really lag behind by as much in terms of technology. I would imagine that if their roadmap is anything to go on, we're going to see RDNA 3, RDNA 4 iGPUs with much less lag compared to the first appearance of that architecture on a desktop add-in card, right? Don't forget about the custom silicon work that they do for partners like Sony and Microsoft and Valve. We have no idea what this chip in the Asus ROG Ally is, but apparently it's custom silicon as well. And the thing is, you've only got, even if you're a company with the resources of AMD, you have a finite number of people on your team, right? And even if you saw a profitable opportunity, like, oh yeah, let's bring our mid-range GPU to market faster. You and what army? How many GPU experts are there on Earth that aren't already gainfully employed? It's not like you can just hire another 100-person team. It doesn't work like that, right? So we just have to be patient is the bottom line. It's just frustrating, right? Like, obviously, where's RDNA 4? Let's go, right? But it takes time. It's really challenging. Massive respect for the people who work on this stuff.
All right, now that's the end of the curated.
Oh, okay. I can just curate some.
Yeah, go for it. Or
there's a
read them out,
massive mountain of incoming messages that I've been
they're all just like questions.
trying to text response to.
We have a thing that can display them at the end of the show if we don't get to them, or play the rest of the queue. New thing that we're trying. Give it a go.
Yep.
I don't know how.
Maybe try to go through the massive mountain of messages and curate some of them while we do text responses.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure, let's go.
This is cool. Nicholas T says, "Hey Linus, I've been promoted to a new position where I measure individual transistors. Feels strange to be doing a job you couldn't show. Anything in particular surprise you during the lab tour at Micron?" I think the most surprising thing at Micron was just how jazzed everyone was to be there. At somewhere like NVIDIA, where they have a more consumer-facing brand, even someone like Intel, where they show up at gaming events and they have skulls and or branding or whatever.
And they're cool.
You kind of expect to find passionate enthusiast people. But Micron has just about the most boring corporate image, I think, in the tech industry, right? Like they're huge, they're enormous. They come from potato land. They make, gosh darn it, the stablest DRAM chip. Let's go. But just how excited people seemed to work at Micron was really cool, really inspiring.
Yeah, let's managed to get one in that time. This is from Justin, longtime VOD watcher and first-time buyer. I work as a network engineer for a large U.S. telecom company. If you could change one thing about the telecom industry, what would it be?
The fact that you work for a large U.S. telecom company? No, I mean, well, sort of. Like I really wish there was less consolidation in the telecom industry. I can see that Mr. Ryan Reynolds came out virtually unscathed from that whole Mint Mobile sale, but Mint Mobile seemed like, a good thing. And now there's more consolidation. So cool. Like I would like to see more public ownership of basic infrastructure. I mean, I think it's fair to say that in some ways, the fiber line between you and the nearest internet exchange is more important than the road between you and the nearest city. Like, as long as you can get basics like, food, water, shelter, there are entire industries that just run on those fiber lines and don't need a road.
When I was picking my apartment, that was like a huge portion of the decision making, and a lot of people were quite surprised. But I don't know, I stand by it.
Okay, another one for you here. This is from Lilith. Talking of the Steamdeck and portables, do you think the future of them will be framework-like experience with modular parts so the product doesn't function like a console, i.e. get outdated fast?
I don't think it's that realistic. I think that I mean, it could be done. Framework has shown us that the limit was our imagination. It wasn't the technology. So it could be done, but it would take someone to come in and do it. I mean, when Asus was here for their Ally preview, I told someone from their notebook team, because it's the same team working on the Ally. I was like, hey, have you guys seen the Framework 16 yet? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, you guys need to sit up and pay attention. I'm an investor in Framework. I don't mind if they kick your butt, but you guys need to sit up and pay attention. You guys need to come at this head on. This is a serious thing that's happening now. There are going to be good devices that take this modular, more reusable approach to their design. And you guys have got to figure this out, because you can't just react to it later. And I had made a joke about how, the Ally is pretty cool, but, I'd rather have one that was made by someone like a Framework, where I don't have to buy a whole new one in order to keep using my, my Hall Effect joysticks that I already upgraded, my chassis to or whatever else. And they're like, oh, well, I hope they don't get into it. I'm like, no, what you should hope is that you guys do a better job and make upgradable stuff. So I'd like to see it happen, but I don't know whether to hope for it or not. More modular electronics, it just hasn't been the trend up until now.
It's hard when they get small like that too.
Yeah, it is legitimately actually really challenging.
Yeah.
What's so great about the Ally? Well, one of the things that's so great is it has this phenomenal cooling system that is somehow super quiet and runs really cool. I haven't opened it yet. I actually haven't opened it yet, even though they're not here to supervise me anymore. Why haven't I opened it yet? Anyway, I haven't opened it yet, but I would imagine that a really finely tuned cooling solution is going to make it more difficult to have that mainboard be upgradable.
Okay, next up, Linus and Luke, any suggestions on courses or resources to take my tech troubleshooting skills from? Have you tried turning it back on again to something more refined?
Really depends what you more specifically want to get into. If you're trying to get into like infrastructure stuff, IT admin type things, networking courses, networking certifications are often a pretty good angle to go in. There's also some stuff you can do with, what's that? Active Directory. Getting into Active Directory. I'm assuming the direction you want to go into is IT. I don't know if that's a good assumption or not. But yeah, I would get into some certification courses for like networking, Active Directory, stuff like that.
Okay, next up. Hi, LL plus D. Linus, do you know if there's any LTT garments that we either should or shouldn't use fabric softener on? I was taught to always use it, but I've also heard that it isn't good for some fabrics.
I didn't know that.
So, here's the thing. Bridget and I, in particular Bridget and I, often butt heads about proper treatment of garments. She will say things like, well, you're not supposed to put this in the dryer.
Oh, that's going to happen anyways.
I was getting there. You know, you're not supposed to put this in the dryer, and this applique thing or whatever else, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, right, but I'm gonna put it in the dryer. So where are we at with this? And it drives her crazy because she and a lot of people on the team here do treat their clothes properly, but I want us to try to make everything okay for the people who don't. And you know what? You do have to treat your clothes properly. Like a hoodie that you put in the dryer on high every time. If it's cotton, like it will shrink. It's natural fiber. It behaves how it behaves. And we can pre-shrink it, and we do, but there's a limit to what you can do with pre-shrinking. So with all of that said, we strive to make it so you can kind of do whatever you want. We do list the materials composition on our products as we're legally required to do. So if there's any materials that are good or bad with fabric softener, I guess you can just sort of follow whatever guidelines you can find. But in general, we kind of try to make things that are resilient and last a long time. Dan?
No, I didn't unmute myself. All right, last one I've got here is Sala from Android Basha channel. My question to Linus is, what do you think about tech channels releasing videos a couple minutes ahead of the official NDA timeline? It's happened multiple times.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I did it once. We maybe twice. I don't know. We released a video like 1 minute before the actual official embargo lift, and I think the idea was to see if it would have any kind of impact. And what we determined was that A, no one noticed or cared, and B, it didn't have an impact. Yeah, in the long term, what I've found is that, I mean, here, like I can show you guys this, right? Like here, let's go into the channel dashboard. Let's head to the analytics, shall we? You guys want to see some analytics?
Yes.
I know I do.
These idiots be anal.
Nice one. Ding?
No, that's not worth a ding. That's not even a joke. That's just stupid.
It's over there. It's not worth it.
It's too far away.
No dings for
You can
anal.
tell what time of night it is.
All right. So first things first, you can see there's some videos coming soon. What's it like to work at Linus Media Group, the sequel? Did anyone talk to you?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, interesting. Adam was in charge this time.
Not included.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess you didn't really work at LMG for most of the period we're covering here. So also we have another one. Pushing the GT 1030 to the max. They'll have better titles when we actually release them. So here, let's find a video. Okay, here. Here's one. No, this is the cleanest setup. So let's go into what is it? Reach. I still hate this dashboard.
Oh, a bunch of really positive feedback on that video, by the way.
Infuriating.
Because it's already on Floatplane.
Oh, which one?
The what it's like to work at LMG.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not allowed to watch it, so I guess.
Yeah, I'm just Floatplane chat just said it's really good.
Oh, I'm really glad it's good. Cool. All right. Anywho, what am I looking for? Yes, impressions. No, man, where's the thing? Here we go.
We just like flashbanged everyone, by the way.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I don't have Dark Reader on this profile. Okay, bell notification sent. Here we go. They sent 911,000 subscribers a notification. The click-through rate is within the typical range for YouTube of 0.5 to 2.5%, 1.1%, which means our views from bell notifications as a channel with 15, however many millions of subscribers was 9,800.
It's actually kind of amazing.
This is a video with 3 million views. Total impressions, 38.2 million, with a click-through rate of 5.4. The click-through rate of your impressions that you get from browse features, suggested videos, all these places that actually matter at all is over 4 times higher. So the only thing that launching a little bit early could possibly do for you is give you a bit of an early boost on those like notification views, right? Because 1 minute later, everyone's going to be on pretty much equal footing when it comes to browse and suggested and all that stuff. We're at the point now where we don't even really pay attention to what time of day we launch a video because we know that it's all going to come out in the wash in the long term. So that's where we're at on it. I really don't think it's a big deal. And I do think it's a big deal to break a legal agreement that you've signed. So you just should launch at the right time. Like, everyone just should. But I don't think it's a big deal for you. Like, I don't think you're at a competitive disadvantage if other ne'er-do-wells are pulling these kinds of moves.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Android Basha is in the chat saying it might not impact you, but trust me, myself and several other channels I know have seen noticeable drops at the first hour reach. Yeah, but that first hour, the first hour is important, but it also isn't. Big picture, you've got to be looking at click-through, you've got to be looking at retention, because that is ultimately what is going to drive that piece of content. And that's a real challenge. It's way harder. Being the first one with content is a valid strategy. It's even a good strategy, but it's an exhausting strategy and it's a very challenging strategy. And I don't think it's a sustainable strategy.
Okay, got another one here for you. Linus and Luke, thoughts on Nebula's $250 lifetime membership? Isn't video streaming expensive?
Did we talk about this already? Or did you and I just talk about that?
I think you and I were talking about that. Yeah, it's... Okay, so Nebula is an interesting model, right? As far as I can tell, not a lot of people are actually watching on the site, and that doesn't really matter to them. Like, I don't think that really matters, because it's far more of a just like, hey, I want to support creators. Here's a very sort of small amount of financial contribution, of which very little makes its way to the individual creator, right? Because you're not subscribing to an individual creator, you're subscribing to the entire platform. So each creator is getting a very small fraction of that amount. That's just sort of inherent if you actually watched a lot on the platform. But the benefit of it is that they can achieve a level of scale that, particularly boosted by the cross promotion that they do with CuriosityStream, has enabled them to reach a subscriber count that is quite substantial. So they've got these subscribers, right? They've got this sort of so they've got this user count, they've got this roster of creators that, as far as I can tell, are not really making a ton of money just from like Nebula payouts. As far as I can tell, a lot of the financial incentive for creators is promoting subscribing to CuriosityStream because it includes Nebula, and so, which is good for creators because they get some revenue from Nebula, but more importantly, they have an ownership stake in Nebula. So any creators who join Nebula have an ownership stake in the platform. And that's, as far as I can tell, as an outsider, the real point. I don't think the point is the actual monthly checks that a creator with, 20,000 YouTube subscribers and however many people are watching them on Nebula, because you can kind of extrapolate that it's like probably like 4 people, right? So I don't think they're getting a significant amount of money on a monthly basis from Nebula, but I think the goal is that when Nebula exits, when it sells, everyone who joined as a creator, is going to get a piece of that action. So with that in mind, what does a $250 lifetime subscription to a streaming platform look like? Well, it looks like a streaming platform that doesn't actually stream a lot of video, wanting to boost subscriber counts so that when they eventually exit in some way, or IPO or whatever it is that they plan to do, they will be able to have a bigger payout for their shareholders, who are the creators, which is not a bad thing. It's just a very different model from the way that we structure things, which is generally more ongoing sustainability and less exit strategy focused.
You also sometimes just need a burst of, I've been trying to respond to messages, so I didn't listen to all of that, but you sometimes need a burst of income if you're trying to avoid outside investor stuff. And it might be worth lower returns in the future for that burst of income now, depending on what you're trying to do. There's like a lot.
Yeah, there's like a lot.
There's too many sitting and incoming. We need to be responding to these faster.
Yep. I'm working on it.
We can talk about it some more
Hit me.
after the show as
Hit
well.
me.
All right, Anonymous. Have you ever seen a Surface Electron display monitor? If not, do you think you can get a hold of one? You ever heard of one of these?
SED?
SED monitor.
My understanding is, outside of a couple of trade show demos, they'd never existed. It was supposed to be a replacement for CRT that was not as thin as LCD, but with the contrast and brightness benefits of CRT and response time benefits of CRT. If Canon was working on it, if I recall correctly. I was very excited about it at the time, if it's the one I'm thinking of. And I was really disappointed that it never made it to light. But OLED has pretty much negated any need for SED to make it to market.
All right. What are the odds of LTT partnering with Ifixit for an orange and black precision driver kit?
I don't know. I don't really know if that's like Ifixit's model. I could definitely see us doing more tools in the future, but I don't really see any reason why either of us would necessarily co-brand with the other. Like, having more hands in the pot is, I don't know, not really beneficial to either of us, I don't think.
Love your work and would love to work for you. Do you guys still offer relocation assistance?
I don't know. Why don't you get a job and find out?
Oh, check our job postings. Let's see. Any chance on releasing a case for screwdriver that can also fit all the bit sets?
Yes. It'll be a long time though. You know how slow we are. And that's a product that I don't think we would do just like a less expensive, faster Chinese mold for, like we did for the cable management arches. That's the kind of product that we would probably want to get done by ITD. It's either Innovative or Innovation Tool and Die. So like a local company. We'd probably get the molds made there because we'd want it to be like on par with the quality of the screwdriver that it goes with, right? So I don't see that happening anytime super soon.
What is your favorite small form factor case right now?
Oh, we were actually shooting a video about this new one from Dan Case that is just so Cool.
Adam was telling me about it. It looks amazing.
Yeah. What's the man? What? Dang it! Is it? Oh, is it out? Yeah, this one.
Okay, good.
Super cool.
Yeah.
C4 SFX. This thing is sick. It's sick. Watch the video. It's sick. That's all I have to say about that.
I built one in a previous Dan case, and it was just incredible.
No, this one's so much better.
I know. Yeah,
Your Dan case is crap.
It's okay. I gave it away.
Your name
It's
is
fine.
Dan, and you still don't know anything about Dan case anymore.
I know nothing.
It's new Dan case. It's a new game.
Oh my gosh. I've been replaced. Okay. As someone who's watched since the kitchen set days, is there any videos you look back on from the early days of LTT and want to recreate for old time's sake?
Ooh. Recreate? I mean, I wish we could do classic Scrapyard Wars again.
Yeah, just we had a question about that in the pre-show, and I was like, man, it can't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. It's funny. Like, I'd love to do whole room water cooling again, but we can't just interrupt everyone's jobs to help us put fittings on things anymore. It just doesn't really like work that way here.
Certain scale issues.
Yeah.
I've fairly often come back to the like, this is not that old of a video. Okay, it's a very old video, but it's not that old of a video in kitchen in the house scale. You know what I mean? But the WTF is going on with DX12 and Vulkan. I've often just kind of personally wondered that. Like, what's the current state of those? Because like when I launch a game and I see options right now, I'm not 100% confident in which one to choose. You know? So, yeah.
Go Vulkan. Be cool.
Well, no, but even like, okay, because that video went more in depth on these things. Even when it's like, do you want to launch in DX11 or DX12? If it's only DX is the option. For a while there, it was 11, not 12.
Oh. I mean, I still have issues with like Anno, as far as I know.
Yeah.
They've just like never patched the bugginess.
No, but
with
like for
DirectX
real, a
12.
lot of games that came around that era, it was better to run them in DX11 than 12. So like, is that completely fixed for new games? What kind of stragglers are we looking at? Stuff like that. I think it'd be interesting.
Okay. Luke, are there any plans for adding split screen support for the iPad OS app on Floatplane?
We don't really do specific for iPad development.
Got him.
So like, not in the near future.
And Linus, any timeline on the luxury backpack?
This is probably a question you were expecting me to answer extremely quickly.
Oh boy.
It's not, though.
Oh boy.
Okay, first of all, it's not luxury, it's lux. That is what we're going to call it. We're just going to call it lux.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
Second of all, I don't know. I don't want to release something that I'm not completely confident in. And right now, I'm really happy with the state that it's in. But what I don't know is how long will I be happy with the state that it's in. So, whoops. What did I press? There we go. Thanks, Dan. So, okay. There's a couple of things that are wrong with this prototype. The water bottle holder is a little bit too tight. I have a similar issue with some of the pockets over here. Other than that, it's basically perfect. I've noticed that as it's broken in, this zipper at the very front, this one right here, has turned from kind of straight to you're really not going to be able to see that, to more of like a smile. Like it's kind of, oh yeah, here we go. Here's a better angle. I'll get you guys this angle here. So it's more like kind of curved now, so you can see that. But that's like a natural thing that's going to happen with a leather product, right? Like it tends to, you can see the water bottle bulge a little bit more than you could see with the it starts with an R, or whatever, with the Reprieve fabric that we use for the regular backpack. My issue is that this is a vegan leather, which is like probably the most successful rebrand in all of history. Pleather to vegan leather.
Yeah.
Like fake leather to vegan leather. Man. Anyway, this is a vegan leather product, but it's not just like plastic. This is an apple leather, so it's like a fruit based vegan leather that behaves. Boy, does it ever feel and act a lot like leather. From the manufacturer, they've told us that you could buff scuffs out of it with polish, just like with leather. They've told us the durability should be very similar to leather. I haven't observed any issues with it in my time using it, but I've only been using it for a couple months. Can I draw long-term, years-long conclusions about this fabric based on the time I've spent with it? Not with 100% confidence, and this is not going to be a cheap product. I would be surprised if it isn't at least double of what the regular backpack costs, because A, the material is far more costly, and B, working with it is far more costly. It's far more time consuming. So it's pretty much ready for us to place an order. We would have to make a couple small changes to the construction, and we're ready to go. But I've been holding off because I just want it to be really good, and I don't like. I've asked if we have a partner that does a lot of material testing for us called Chima, and I've asked, is there anything we can do in terms of like long-term durability tests on it, or like can we do scuff tests and then can we get polishes and try to polish it? Like, what can we do to can you figure this out, guys? And so we're working on that, but it's going to take time. I've got a lot of people in the chat asking, well, why not just make it out of real leather? Do you want it to be $1,500? $2,000? I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
that would be leather is freaking hard to work with.
And like if you're spending that much on leather, seam stitching can be an issue. So are these hand stitched bags now?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. I'm adding that clarification because I'm sure someone's Googling how much leather costs and they're going to be like, oh, it's not the...
Yeah. No, it's the workmanship.
There's more to it than that.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh! Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, we might have to call it. Are there any more like outstanding ones you guys see? And you guys got to send
tons.
more just like, hey, hi mom, stuff, because we actually can't do this. Yes, the UV blocking hoodie is still coming. You know what? Why don't we try and rapid fire a few? Let's try it.
Sure.
Okay. Anonymous asks, how are scientific backgrounds understood or perceived within the software development field? Coming from an astrophysicist.
How are scientific backgrounds
That's not rapid fire enough.
Perceived?
He shrugged. Next question.
Okay. Robert says, can't wait to set this up on my test bench at work. Microsoft Loop just went live for my org. What's one non-AI product that is upcoming or live that you guys, especially Dan, are super excited for? Non-AI product.
Hey, I can read these too.
Okay. So what is it? It's especially Dan.
I didn't actually catch that. I don't know. Non-tech products.
No, non-AI.
Non-AI product?
This rapid fire concept is not working very well.
Not working at all.
Okay.
Literally didn't listen.
Let's read along with you then. Non-AI, AR. I want AR to be good one day.
Love it.
I don't
Nice,
care.
good answer.
Okay, Adam, if there's going to be a Linus Tech Tips TV series or movie, who would you cast to play you?
Reynolds.
To play you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking the other Ryan.
I've just had the amount of times. You remember the
Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling looks much more like you.
Sorry, that's the one I meant. I'm really bad with actor names.
Crying out loud. Yeah, Ryan Gosling for Luke.
He would nail it. Yeah. I'm with that.
That is who I meant. I apologize.
I have no idea for me. I'm sorry. I also don't know too many actors. Okay, next. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Hello,
fine.
gentlemen. What is your favorite controller to use with PC? It's the Xbox controller for both of us.
Yeah,
other than mouse and keyboard. PS4 for him, Xbox for us. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Stick drift. Yep. Yeah. Sorry. That's a thing. So I really like the King Kong 2, but I don't use it on PC, mostly because I just haven't. I just didn't think of it. I have it paired to my Switch, and I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ian, in the spirit of the AI heavy show this week, with the potential of AI providing scammers with more powerful tools, has anyone thought of newer safety measures to take? That's going to be a big problem.
All I've really seen
now
is AI fighting back. That's the only new thing I've seen in that realm.
Jared says, I'm a brand new mainframe storage admin, and I was super excited to see your Z16 and mainframe mentioned last WAN. Do you foresee any other potential future uses in mainframe tech? I mean, I think Luke kind of outlined what is going to be the biggest one is these internal large language models. Like that's the way. I think you're right. I don't think there's any avoiding it.
I think I called it. Was that like 3 weeks ago when I talked to you in your office? And I was like, this is like my most long shot one so far. Yeah, there's companies already doing it. I thought it was like a year out. It's 100% already happening. So
Paul L asks, ever considered consulting services like MatPat from Game Theorist? LTT's culture, employee, customer treatment are really powerful for professionals and orgs. They often ground me when managing people. I mean, the way that I see it, here it is. You're asking me, we're talking about it. Let's talk about it. Not for very long because this is rapid fire. But the point is that, I don't know, my uncle kind of sat me down and said, you know, the worst kind of business is a consulting business. And I kind of said, oh, well, why? Because like consulting seems like it pays a lot of money. Consultants, like that's a stereotype, right? Is consultants make a lot of money compared to people who in a lot of cases are
actually do things.
Yeah, more qualified and actually do things. And he said the reason the consulting business is the worst kind of business is because it's not scalable. If you want to double your revenue, then you can raise your rates. Sure, you could double your rates, but there's a finite amount of doubling that you can do to your rates. So what you need to do then is you need to double your consultants. You need to double your staff. And at some point, you collapse under your own weight unless you can somehow scale the consulting that you do to many more people per consultant. I kind of went, oh, okay, so like YouTube then. Okay, so we've solved this. I don't need to be a one-on-one consultant anymore. I could just
scale.
I could just scale. And so we everything we do here, we're trying to, even WAN show, right? So how can we scale WAN show? By doing it faster. Yes, thank you, Luke. That's very helpful. And also by chopping it up into clips. So, by leveraging it to sponsors and also leveraging AdSense and also creating benefits to Floatplane subscribers to subscribe for a better WAN show experience with better audio quality by creating merch messages so that we can create more content for WAN show thanks to you guys asking wonderful questions like this. So we're quadruple dipping on WAN show. That's something that a consulting business is always going to struggle with because unless you can find and train consultants at an astronomical rate, you're always going to be limited to linear rather than exponential growth. Daniel asks, I was wondering if you could explain some of the benefits and drawbacks of building a home PC in a rack versus a tower. Tower is easier, better hardware compatibility. Racks go in racks. That's the main benefit of them. What happened to the G Suite Google Drive backup? Too slow or too close to privateering? I think we ran into some issues with it. Jake would actually be a better person to answer that question.
I think it had something to do with rate limiting or something.
Yeah, and I think it was overcomeable,
I could be wrong.
But it was like going to involve a bunch of like hassle and scripting, and realistically, it was going to like cost a bunch of money to actually take the data back out if we ever needed it anyway, and we just didn't really care that much because it's the vault.
It's like a proof of concept more than anything.
Charles says, are you concerned about Creator Warehouse working with other creators when they come to you with a product that you've either been thinking about making or a product you think you could do better? Yeah, this is a very valid concern. Like if we're kind of, okay, actually, there's a perfect example of this. We wanted to do a lighter for a really long time. We had some cool, fun ideas for a lighter project. Kyle actually talked about it in his Floatplane exclusive Meet the Team. And, I was looking at, Hacksmith's lighter. They have a one coming or something, and we wanted to carry it on our store. And I was like, okay, are we going to be in an awkward position where if we release a lighter, they're going to feel like, oh, well, screw you, buddy. You're releasing your own lighter. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a precedent for it. It's not like Newegg doesn't carry Rosewill cases, which is their home brand, and they also carry Corsair cases.
You just
and
have to be
seems chill with it.
like even more, not that you aren't already, but even more careful to not have things that could be perceived as like a copycat.
Yeah, that's fair. Michael asks, do you have any advice or regrets on raising children in regards to technology or the internet? Don't use it as a crutch. Talk to kids. That's the key. Joseph, I remember when the streams, the camo coat. Yeah, we're talking about the camo coat again. A decade ago in high school, you inspired me to build a PC so I could play PlanetSide 2 and Battlefield 3. What is your most nostalgic gaming era? Ooh.
Google Great Games 2004, man. Great Games 2004. It's a thing.
I think my nostalgic gaming era goes back farther, though. I think it's more just like when you kind of crystallized, when you...
2004 was just a hell of a year, though. I'm actually like pretty... I think we've talked about this
Did Warcraft 3 come out in 2004? Because I was going to say Warcraft...
Half-Life 2,
3.
Original World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, The Sims 2, Halo 2, Burnout 3, Far Cry the original, Counter-Strike Source, Battlefield Vietnam, Star Wars Battlefront, the one that people actually liked, Doom 3, Metal Gear 3, just like Sid Meier's Pirates, Fable, Unreal 2004,
Fable as well.
Ninja Gaiden,
Oh my God.
Driver, which I actually thought was cool, but not everyone thinks is cool. There's a ton. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Best year in gaming ever.
Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow. I don't know if that was great or not.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild
That's
year.
fair enough, but I think for me, it's got to be like SNES era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just old.
That's. I mean, that's fine. I like talking about 2004 because it was one hell of a year.
All right, I replied to a couple text ones. Are they still coming in?
Yeah. You got to do one every 25 seconds. Come on, guys.
Is that the rate?
Well, not today, but most of the day, yeah. You guys were just basically treading water with these. I'm sorry to dump that on you.
No, it's okay. We just got to keep pumping.
We'll figure it out. With the current rise of AI technology, what do you think about students pursuing careers as web developers?
Oh, I was currently.
I
answering
replied to
with
that
text.
one. I said pretty tough right now. Not gonna
Pretty
lie.
tough right now.
We will still hold on. We will still need developers for like a long time, very long time. People saying that it's going to fully replace developers right now are just wrong.
Speaking of that, I think you already replied to that one too. Yeah. Oh, it's gone.
Okay.
What's
Anyways.
going on? Keep going.
I think we're all doing the same things on top of each other. But yeah, we're going to need developers for a long time. There are going to be companies that try to shrink because of this type of stuff. They're going to run into some problems. A lot of the things that AI development is currently doing is not like super advanced, and a lot of it still needs a guiding hand from developers. I do think junior positions are going to be the first ones to take a hit. I think that makes sense. But companies will still need senior developers. So yeah, get after it.
The recent examples of AMD and Intel GPUs performance gaining over time with driver updates. Are the labs going to test to make sure that the driver updates are keeping up with the performance?
We retest for every review. So, yep, you're going to always be able to trust that the numbers you're looking at from our latest content is based on the latest drivers.
And Linus, how do you handle determining trustability in your employees?
I tend to be, if anything, too trusting. So I rely on processes and managers and HR to kind of, monitor people's work and make sure that they're doing the right things. In general, I think we have a really good crew here. The @Mark Pippin is missing.
Yeah.
But it never occurred to me that someone would have stolen it.
It's probably a like mishap thing. The box was super old and ratty.
I think it was probably just a really unfortunate accident.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing latency timing for different controllers?
Yeah. Well, it might be kind of challenging for certain. We're certainly going to
Something
try.
we'll consider.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on labs testing screen protectors?
No, there's no plans for that right now. I think that would, in order to draw meaningful conclusions, you would have to have sample sizes far greater than what would be practical for us to test.
Are you guys going to be looking at the new Acer 3D screen? They're using AI magic to turn 2D content into 3D.
The new 3D screens that I've seen that are like 4K OLED, every other... Actually, no, there's ones that aren't OLED too. Anyway, the new Glasses List 3D that I've seen is kind of unbelievable. It uses camera eye tracking to know like which eye's looking at it from where, and then it's like some kind of like shift thing. Anyway, the point is it can like account for where you're sitting. It's kind of mind-blowing, and it's pretty cool.
Have you traveled with your Steamdeck? If so, do you have a go-to mobile charging solution or other accessories that he can stuff in his backpack?
Oh,
which I just purchased.
Yeah, I just carry one Type-C charger, the one for my laptop, and then I use it for my phone, my Neo. Actually, I've been using the Ally lately, but yeah, so for my Ally and for my laptop, it's like freaking awesome. It's nothing special. It's just the one that came with my old Flow X13 laptop. I'm not that picky when it comes to chargers.
Any plans for polo shirts for those of us nerds who need to wear polos at work? Also restock on tablet when?
We have some really exciting workwear coming. We have what we're calling tech pants, where they're like really comfortable and they like have pockets and stuff, but they still look professional enough that you could wear them at a workplace that requires slacks. And then we also just have like some just kind of basic, very minimal or invisible branding tops that are going to be very work appropriate.
I'm going to interject. I just want to answer this one vocally. Ryan N says, what do you think about companies that block Chat GPT for fear of leaking proprietary information? What would you suggest to ease their fears? I cannot ease their fears. I don't know where it went. I can't hide it. If you guys see that one, hide it. I cannot ease their fears. This is a problem that I've been mentioning for a while. OpenAI is super transparent about the fact that they're reading all the responses and they've already had a leak of information. This is something that people should not really be doing. It's up to your company to decide your security policies. If you put all this proprietary information on something like Google Docs, for instance, you're sharing it to a certain degree with Google, and there are security implications with that. Does that mean you would trust OpenAI? That's a decision that you have to make. But I do believe, as we've mentioned a couple times and even talked about on today's show, that certain companies with certain levels of data security are going to run local offline versions of these things because of those things. So it's not an unfounded fear. So I can't dismiss it. But yeah.
Oh, this is such a good one. Sebastian L asks, hi Linus and Luke. I'm a store manager and an Apple Premium reseller and would like to hear how you would sell Apple products or the brand, knowing everything you do.
Ease of use, build quality.
Is that easy to use?
My mom spent years with Android phones and never really got it. Within a week of having an iPhone, it completely clicked and she totally understood everything and it worked fine.
Man, I don't know.
I have not had the same experience.
Yeah, me neither.
But for some people, it's a thing.
I probably would sell the benefit of, particularly the iPhone. I don't really think I could sell a Mac very easily, but the iPhone is a pretty obvious one to me. You just kind of don't have to think about it. It'll work for like 6 or 7 years, and then you can get a new one. I would sell the longevity. I think you already did this block Chat GPT thing. Luke, you are a genuine role model.
I was
says
just trying
Franklin.
to answer this through text. I didn't want to.
I teach classes to help incoming cable technicians learn to install network infrastructure. What would it be? What would it like to see in their installers?
What would IT like to see in their installers to help make things easier? It's a really broad question. How I was going to answer it is just like a drive and willingness to learn new things, because it's an area that is like pretty much your whole job is maintaining what you have and also moving it forward with the constant march of technology. If you have someone who's not that interested in learning new things in that position, in my opinion, unless they're in a space that doesn't evolve, they're not going to do well. You like constantly have to use new stuff. So I know that's not something you can teach them necessarily, but it's a thing.
I do not have a 10-year vision, Charles. Dang it, we're going to try. We're going to try to still exist in 10 years.
That's the vision. Still exist.
Noah says, my friend and I are really excited for the future of QD OLED. We want to know how common you think the tech will be in the average user's monitor. I don't know if it'll be QD-OLED or it'll be future technology. I'd love to see micro LED take over just because I hate the idea of manufacturing future e-waste, right? And OLED, even quantum dot OLED, has a finite lifespan. And micro LED looks like it extends that lifespan significantly. So I would like to see that take over. Question for you guys, Landon. What's a recent janky solution to a problem that was just too much effort to fix properly?
I do this stuff so often that I don't even fully register everything anymore because it's just like how I operate. So I'm not actively thinking about like, this is the janky solution. It's just like, this is how I deal with problems.
I couldn't get my webcam in the right spot on top of my monitor. So I just like took the cable and I kind of like attached it to something so that the amount of weight was just enough that it wouldn't move at the spot that I need it. Instead of like doing it properly, it's just like kind of tied to another cable. So if that other cable ever moved, then it would move again. Like I didn't anchor it to anything real. So I did that today.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
That's just nothing big, but yeah, it's just how I live.
Dealing with every single thing like fully, officially, properly is just not very efficient and not necessary, in my opinion.
No, I don't really recommend a ton of baby tech. Just like a baby monitor is nice to have, but don't go overboard. This is stuff you're only going to use like the infant stage, like 6 to 9 months. And then that's it. And then it's just e-waste. Like don't overdo it, Jordan.
I got one that I want to answer verbally. Luke, I'm a BIOS engineer specializing in security. On the motherboard that got hacked, for complete security, it's best not to keep the board. Bootkits are becoming more... where'd it go? Bootkits are becoming more common, namely Black Lotus. This is the trouble. Like we had that short go out where we smashed the SSD, and there's a bunch of responses being like, couldn't you have saved it? Wouldn't have been possible. It is possible it would have been okay.
Probably, actually.
Probably, very probably. It's also technically possible it wouldn't have, and it wasn't worth the risk. So we didn't do it. This is another situation where like now I'm getting a BIOS engineer telling me to throw out the motherboard. Like the plan right now is to resolder the chip, not to throw out the motherboard. I'm pretty certain that is fine. I do not believe we have to throw out the motherboard. I think if we completely replace the chip, it should be okay. Maybe I should.
Should be.
This makes me want to look into it a little bit
I'm not
more.
aware of any other storage on a motherboard.
Me neither. So like it should be fine. What I've been trying to figure out is flashing it fine?
No.
It's not?
No.
You're sure?
Yep.
Okay, then yeah, I guess we're resoldering the chip because I don't want to throw that board away. That's too much waste, and completely replacing, yeah, as far as I know, the only form of storage on the board, it should be fine. Like genuinely should be fine as far as my understanding goes.
I have never heard of shift phones.
Me neither.
Oh, they're headphones. That makes... Oh, no, there's also a phone. Okay. Yep, no idea. Never heard of it. Neat. Thanks, Anonymous. Anthony, what resources, website, and online communities do you use to keep up with AI? I mean, honestly, it's just everywhere I look these days. I don't really have to go out of my way.
Luke. It's just you use Luke.
Yeah.
It is literally everywhere, though. Like, I don't know. It's all over the place.
Hey, thanks, Carrie. Rainier says, I could really use a way to redeem all these gift cards I've been collecting to store credit on my LTT account. Please? Well, you could buy something. That's an option.
What do you mean?
Ashley, huge fan of the WAN show and just wanted to say thanks for adding women's undergarments to the LTT store. Yeah. My girlfriend and I have both been waiting to buy a pair. Heck yeah!
Nice.
I'm really excited for our next his and hers undergarment project. Okay, I'm just going to leak it. Matching strawberry print.
The internet wants the gamer socks. Sorry, programming socks.
Steven. My daughter and I love the show. We're in the UK and every Saturday. Oh, okay. That would be just a show. Yep. Okay. All hail the LTT backpack, says Jonathan D. Late at night, a car pulled into my lane and immediately stopped. I had to brake hard and my backpack with the laptop went flying at my glove box. It survived. Heck yeah. A feature I'd love to see in Merch Messages,
I
being
was
able
typing
to...
it up.
Oh, okay. Just built my first PC with the LTT screwdriver. Heck yeah. What's the one thing you want to sell on LTT Store but isn't practical in some way? The desk. We've designed these like super cool cableless desks, and they're too big and impractical for us to figure out how to build and ship right now. Casey says, greatly appreciate your videos and banter. Find myself disappointed in robot lawnmower technology. AI Vision Tech is somewhat here for this possible home video. We actually have one coming. We did a sponsored video with EcoFlow. It's pretty cool. It's coming along. I wouldn't say it's like a no-brainer that everyone should just buy one at this point in time, but it's definitely coming along. Background playback is definitely something that we are working on, but it's going to take some time. Oh, wow. People are moving things. Let's move them. Gianluca, hi, I'm from Italy. What do you think about the fact that the privacy guarantor, a government entity, blocked access to Chat GPT? Oh, I did not see that. So I don't have any thoughts on that, but that's kind of wild. Considering short runs of gear with custom brand instead of the LTT logo, if people were willing to pay a premium. I mean, Creator Warehouse exists in order for us to do that. So you would have to get in touch. And I think we have a site that we're going to launch that sort of talks about those services more in the future. But yeah, that's absolutely something we would do. MLA Tech. Oh, you know what? The last gen of TVs was so good that I just have not really felt like I've needed to look that closely at the new gen. I think we have examples coming from Sony, Samsung, and LG for a roundup, but it doesn't seem to have been the huge leap forward that the previous gen was. Okay, and I think that is pretty much... Oh, no, this is interesting. Okay, last one. Garen says, managed to catch a live show. Whoop. You have a wealth of knowledge. Okay, yep. Have you ever considered seed funding or mentoring smaller tech-based creators? I don't know. What would that even look like? Like, I don't want to make them like, what's a word? Like, I don't want them to feel like they owe us something, right? Like, we've definitely, we've got LTX coming up where it's a chance for people to kind of get together and collab and network. That's something I guess we're doing. We're paying airfare and hotel for a lot of creators to come and kind of meet up. Obviously, there's a benefit to us. It makes our event cooler for the community as well. But like, I don't know. I think the best thing we can do is just be an open book. Like, I've got a lot of feedback that our videos about how we make money have really helped guide smaller creators. Yeah.
There's a, I'm still kind of learning like 100% what it is, but there's a student-run thing for Harvard and MIT students called Prod. It's a student-run nonprofit that's like somewhat of a startup incubator for MIT and Harvard students.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm helping doing mentor stuff with them. So, yes.
And I think that's it. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye.
The duration's 420.